Thanks, Chris. All season long, defense has been winning games for Michigan. Today, though, the Wolverine defense faces its toughest test so far, an Iowa offense that boasts threats at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. The Iowa offense and Michigan defense rig? Well, among the very best in the nation in several categories, including the essential one. Iowa, the third highest scoring team in the country, and Michigan, the toughest in the land to score against. So along with 106,000 plus welcome to Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, Dave Barnett along with Bill Curry, so you can make a convincing case either way. Let's start with the Hawkeyes. They can win this game because...
They can win this game. There's an old adage, to a man who only has a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Well, Iowa doesn't operate with hammers. Iowa operates with laser-type speed. Tim Dwight, Tavian Banks. Iowa also has the third-ranked defense in the Big Ten, and they played a team in Ohio State that runs faster than anybody that Michigan has seen.
Pretty convincing. The Wolverines, they can win because...
The Wolverines can win because they make a habit of beating ranked teams. They are the finest defense in the nation, and Michigan has a quarterback that's proven that he knows how to win in the big game. Brian Griese has come of age in his 5th year.
Both can win, both need to win. Iowa, so they can stay in the Rose Bowl race, in Michigan, so they can hang right where they are in the national race. Right now, let's send you to the studio and welcome Mike Tirico.
And Dave, so they don't peek ahead to next week's big one on ESPN against Michigan State, a very big one this afternoon in Ann Arbor for the next 10.5 hours. We'll be here. If it happens in college football, we will tell you about it. Games that are underway right now, starting in the Big Ten with Penn State, now #1 in the nation after Florida's loss last week. Scoreless at home against Minnesota. We'll keep an eye on Minnesota's quarterback situation and that potent Penn State offense. Highlights of that throughout the day. Our first touchdown of this college football Saturday scored at Boston College by Miami's Edgerrin James. 69-yard run. Very poor tackling by the Eagles. BC did come back and had a field goal, so right now up on Chestnut Hill. Miami leads 7-3, but the Canes are driving at the Eagles' 26, facing a second down. Syracuse has just scored a touchdown, a second Donovan McNabb pass. This one to Quentin Spotwood. They lead 14-0. Tennessee-Alabama is our primetime game, but up next, we kick our day off in the Big Ten as Charles Woodson, the outstanding All-America for Michigan, tries to shut down Iowa and company.
Polished brass has always had one problem, until now. Delta introduces Brilliance, the extraordinary polished brass finish that's guaranteed to shine for life. Brilliance from Delta, the faucet.
It's no fun to itch. That's why Owens Corning created Miraflex Insulation. It's made with a revolutionary fiber that's virtually itch-free. So it not only saves on fuel bills, it's more comfortable to handle and install. Use Miraflex Insulation because life is better when you don't itch. For a free sample of Miraflex fiber, call 1-800-GET-PINK.
There's a medical emergency, but no hospital. What do you do? Build one. Leadership. Learn it now in the Army Reserve. Use it now in your career.
And quite simply, another perfect day in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Temperature in the 50s, should get no warmer than the low 60s. And not much breeze, going to stay sunny all afternoon. Couldn't ask for better football weather at Michigan Stadium. Let's send it down to the sidelines and welcome Dave Ryan.
Thanks, Dave. You know, this really is a measuring stick game for both teams. Iowa and Michigan have had very good seasons so far, but the question is, have they really...
Over 1,000 yards today, faster than anyone ever has, at least in terms of number of carries to get there. Michael Berger, his fullback. Chris Knipper, the tight end. Damon Gibson may get a lot of business today because you know the fine Michigan secondary is going to keep close tabs on Tim Dwight, and the blockers, Deal, Reichel, Rose, Goff, and McKinney. Goff, his coaches feel the best they've had up front so far, up better than 300 pounds and quite a bit of speed for that size, around a 5'1" 40. First pitch of the day for Banks, who looks for room and finds about 9 around the left side of the 29-yard line. The Michigan defense, as we said, the toughest to score against in the country and number 2 overall in total yards allowed. Josh Williams last week against Northwestern had 2 of his 3 career sacks, by far the best he's played in his 2 years at Michigan. Hall, Copenhaver, Sword, and Jones, the linebackers. Jones, who has taken over for the injured Eric Mays, has led him the last 2 weeks in tackles. And the secondary may be the best in the country. Weathers, Ray, Hendricks, and Woodson. And Iowa Bill made no bones about it yesterday. They say they will go after Charles Woodson, which very few teams have done. Banks buried for a loss of 2. And the Hawkeyes will look at 3rd and 3.
It's well known that Tim Dwight does not lack for confidence, but what we didn't know is that he would come right out and say, I'm going to give Woodson a test. And that's going to be a really fascinating matchup. I can hardly wait to see him tangle.
Aiden Fry said he hoped that Michigan would put Woodson on Dwight all over the field so at least they'd know where he is. It's not the case here, and it won't be the case all day long, but when they are head-to-head, it'll be worth watching. Sherman decides to keep on a roll, and he is a couple yards shy at the 28, where Josh Williams runs him down.
That's a situation where a quarterback early in a game has an opportunity to make a really foolish mistake. Had Sherman thrown into coverage and all his people were covered, that would have been a serious mistake. There's nothing wrong with a punt in a situation like this.
So on to punt is Jason Baker, a true freshman out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Woodson is back at his 32. And a beauty by Baker. A bit of a breeze behind him. Woodson retreating inside his 15 to begin a fine return. Out across the 35. The punt goes 52 for Baker, and Woodson brings it back 17 yards. The Michigan offense with Brian Griese, number 15 nationally and 5th in the Big Ten in passing. Howard and Ray Jackson, who starts for the injured Chris Floyd. Jackson, a true freshman. Floyd not expected to play at all today. Hurt an ankle against Northwestern. Tooman coming off 5 catches, 2 for touchdowns last week. Streets and Shaw, the wideouts. And the offensive line with Backus, Hutchinson, Adamy, Zeman returning after missing because of an elbow last week, and Jansen. And on first down, Griese deep and overthrows Russell Shaw. The Iowa defense has not played this caliber of competition all year, but they are number 13 nationally. House, DeVries, Klein, LaFleur, and Kramer in their 5-2 look. DeVries, one of 12 Lombardi semifinalists in his junior year from Applington, Iowa. Linebackers, Matt Hughes from Hayden Fry's hometown, Eastland, Texas, and he's joined by Raj Clark, who has replaced the injured Vernon Rollins. He's out for the year with a knee. Gibson, Cooks, Thigpen, and Atkins, the secondary. Thigpen, a big surprise. They say no drop-off, having lost Damian Robinson to graduation. Chris Howard's first carry to the 43, and Jared DeVries there to wrap him up, and it'll be 3rd and 4. Howard, their leading rusher, 347 yards. Their second leading receiver, he and Clarence Williams, the number 1 and 2 tailbacks, have gotten an awful lot of attention from Brian Griese in the Michigan passing game this year. And they go offset eye. They have been superb in converting 3rd downs, 48% for the year. But markers are down as the ball is snapped.
Brian Griese showing his experience early here. First thing he did is throw the ball deep to make it very clear
dead ball
that he's capable of that.
Prior to the snap, ball starts on the offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Second thing he did was to draw Jared DeVries off sides, but in so doing also caused his own offensive lineman to move, and that's an area where the adrenaline takes over early. poise is critical in those kinds of situations right from the very beginning.
So on 3rd and 9, they change it up and go shotgun with 3 wideouts. Williams in motion. Greasy all day, and it is brought in by Williams, but driven out at the 40, and he'll be short of the first down. Clarence Williams' 18th catch of the year. He is their leading receiver. And quite often this year lines up as he did here along the line as a wideout.
All the way across the field, you see Clarence Williams here, and this is a fourth throw by our quarterback Brian Greasy, and it bounces off the hip pad and forces Williams to slow down.
Jason Vinson will send this one to Dwight, who was back as the single safety. Lets it hop, and it takes a Michigan hop back to the 11-yard line. Not returnable for Dwight. 43 yards with the bounce. Iowa back in a hole the second time they handle it on offense.
The aluminum in your car radiator is as thin as this sheet, and it's the only thing between you and a breakdown. But Prestone Antifreeze bonds with aluminum, forming a zone of protection against corrosion and temperature extremes. Protect your car in the Prestone zone. And also, check out Prestone Low-Tox Antifreeze, specially formulated to give an extra margin of safety around pets and wildlife. Prestone Low-Tox, it's extra protection in the Prestone zone.
Do I hear 2,000 for a date with supermodel Jennifer? 2,000.
Is your dandruff sending the wrong signals?
Sold to number 10 for $2,000.
Get Selsun Power. Doctors recommend Selsun Blue #1. So don't send the wrong signals. Get Selsun Power.
Why have a sandwich that's been lying around under heat lamps when you can go to Subway and have one made hot on the spot? Try our steak and cheese, roasted chicken breast, and Subway milk. Hot sandwiches that aren't hamburgers. Take the Subway challenge. Subway, it's the way a sandwich should be.
It's kind of like an Italian loafer. It's kind of like a steel-toed boot. The Infiniti QX4. Own one, and you'll understand.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Subway, the way a sandwich should be, and by Infiniti. Own one, and you'll understand.
The Law Quad here at the University of Michigan. Iowa at their 11th. Teams have been kicking away from Tim Dwight, but he was back there by himself this time. Did the sun prevent a return?
Yes, it did, and Tim's been begging Hayden Fry to put him back there alone, and that's why he was there.
Sherman, as you will probably see happen pretty often today with a change at the line to get back in the eye, he runs right into Berger. And a near disaster on the exchange, leading to a loss of one back to the 10. Rob Renus wrapping up Michael Berger, who ran right into Matt Sherman.
An early blunder by the quarterback, Matt Sherman, who comes out the wrong way, runs right into his fullback. And as you say, Dave, that could have been a terrible thing had the ball gone on the ground.
Bill, as many times as that's likely to happen today in the diverse Iowa offense, we'll see if the crowd may play a part in the difficulty of play changes at the line. Banks to the 15. Fabian Banks at 184 yards per game coming in. Sam Sword tracking him around end that time, better than 8 yards per carry. And 106,000 in any case are going to be tough to hear over, but you figure they know that they can have an effect on the audibleizing that Matt Sherman will attempt to do.
In an offense like Iowa's, they will have a major impact every time he begins to audible.
46%, almost as effective as Michigan on the third down. And they run Banks, and he will be 1.5 yards shy this time as D'Hanny Jones grabs him around the ankle. So 2 3-and-outs for the high-powered Hawkeye.
Banks has already established that he's going to run hard this week. You'll see the misdirection coming off the draw here. He's running much harder than he did against Ohio State. He's showing what he's made of.
Ohio State really the only team to corral him at all this year. Baker with another nice one. Woodson will set up the Michigan offense, though, near midfield. After a 40-yarder by Jason Baker. 9 on the return.
Michigan's doing an excellent job on the wide people, the gunners for Iowa. You see people running on their shoulders, and as they turn to make the tackle on Woodson, they are simply shielded off. That's a very difficult technique, but very important for punt returns in today's football.
And a familiar setting for Greasy to take over so often this year. The Michigan defense turning it over with great field position for the offense to enjoy. Howard through the middle of the Iowa 48. Let's go to the studio, get an update from Mike Tirico.
After the victory over #1 Florida, LSU on upset alert this week against Ole Miss. The alert has been noticed. John Avery, 15-yard touchdown. The Rebels score first and lead by 7 in Baton Rouge.
And just underway here in Ann Arbor. Second possession by the Michigan offense. Tight end Tubman in motion. And Howard buried at the midfield strike this time by Aaron Klein, the nose guard, and Terry Cooks from strong safety quickly up to help out. Iowa defense put up some good numbers, but as Dave Ryan recounted, the competition from here on out is going to get significantly tougher than those they have already defeated, the Northern Iowas and the Tulsas and Iowa States. There aren't any of them left on that Hawkeye schedule.
And as we said, this young offensive line can't play young anymore.
3rd and 9, Greasy well protected, but it's picked off by Cooks. Barry Cooks is brought down at midfield by Chris Howard, returns 15 yards, his second interception of the season. And for Greasy, only the second he has thrown this season.
Greasy has taken care of the football all year, and in this case, Kerry Cooks, the fine, strong safety and the defensive captain for Iowa, actually read his eyes. He could actually see the eyes of the quarterback. Cooks is in coverage here. Wonderful job. He's with his man Shaw, turns back, reads the quarterback's eyes for the pick.
Hawkeyes at midfield after the first turnover. And they almost get it right back. Intended for Gibson. James Hall had this one right in his hand.
Two outstanding veteran quarterbacks showing the effects of a big game. Sherman's instructions are to believe what he sees. He just assumed that linebacker wouldn't drop, and when one assumes, one gets in serious trouble when you're throwing a football. James Hall faded him, made the drop, and then made the drop, unfortunately.
Snapped it, Derrick Rose. Sherman didn't get the exchange, and Michigan recovered.
We're seeing a case of the jitters from the most unlikely of sources. Both quarterbacks showing a case of nerves. Sherman's job is to sit in there. There's a drill that we call a silent drill so that this never happens. He was not expecting this football to be snapped. The center made an error. But the quarterback should have been able to hang on to the ball and at least get on the ground with the ball in his possession. Not surprising, but the source of the mistakes is surprising.
Sherman trying to explain it to Hayden Fry.
Yeah, that'll be a real interesting conversation.
It was recovered by Sword, and Michigan taking it back right about at the point where Greasy threw the interception. His 49 again goes for Shaw, and the flag as it sails over his head. A again, he had Cooks in coverage.
I like this call. I like this call. You put the youngster right back up on the horse. A long discussion.
And they call it a push-off on Shaw. See if we can pick it up.
Shaw's being called for the interference here. I don't like the call. I don't see it anywhere. Somebody invented one there. But I like the idea of coming right back out with your quarterback and putting it up on a lengthy throw.
Well, they're lucky they don't have the replay screens at Michigan Stadium.
Well, they're going to boo them anyhow.
They'll get about 10% of what they would have if the crowd could have seen that replay.
There would have been 101,000, the other 5,000 being the Iowa fans who are seated in some corner of this vast Coliseum.
So back it up to 1st and 25 for Michigan. Howard and undercut for a loss of 1. Great recognition that time by Jeff Kramer, who lines up at the defensive end, but began his college career at Notre Dame as a middle linebacker and lettered a couple of years for Lou Holtz, 94, 95.
That was a variation of the earlier play in which Greasy threw the ball to Clarence Williams. Clarence Williams, a running back, was split out wide, came in motion, hopefully to deceive the Iowa defense for a little screen back where he had just departed. Didn't work.
That one lost 1. Now they look at 2nd and 26. And Greasy forced the scramble, brought down by Aaron Klein, the nose guard.
Aaron Klein was allowed to make that play because of the coverage of the Iowa secondary. One of the primary receivers is the tight end for Michigan, Jeremy Kuman, who's having a tremendous day and finally gets drilled by his own man. That's not very funny to Jeremy. But the reason that he got in the path of Clarence Williams is because there were 2 defenders holding him up. They're not going to let Kuman carry the day from tight end in this game.
So on 3rd and 28, Greasy bumped by his own man, hangs this one up for Ty Streets and off his fingertips at the 25.
Ty Streets is a veteran receiver. He's a big leaguer. He has got to make this catch. That was a beautiful throw from Brian Greasy. Right over the left shoulder. The outside shoulder is the appropriate one. You reach up, you see that ball into your hands. I know it's a tough catch, but that's got to be made.
Vinson standing on his 15 in the exchange of turnovers. Iowa gets a blocked punt, and they'll take over at the 18-yard line. Joe Slattery coming in seemingly untouched. And Jason Vinson never saw him and never had a chance.
Here we are for the first severe test of the great Michigan defense on the block punt by Joe Slattery, who you'll see come from the punter's right. Coming from the outside, he should not be able to get there. Jason Vinson simply took too much time. Number 38. The punter who's made so many outstanding plays for Michigan this year, this time took too long to get the ball kicked.
Iowa, 82% of the time they have it in the red zone, getting points this year, but Banks can't bring in the pitch. A marker is down. So we'll see how they sort this one out. Joaquin Fizel there to recover the fumbled pitch off the hands of Banks, but we heard whistles before the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, previous spot, remains 1st down.
Well, if you're ever happy to see that penalty, this would be that rare occasion for Iowa.
Serious case of nerves here by both teams. Dull, the tight end, number 82, moves early. He's a guy who hasn't played very much this year. Knipper has been injured. Jeff Dull is in for him early. And in his mistake, he ends up saving another costly error. And Tavian Banks dropped ball.
the line. Just gets the snap in time. Banks, no gain. As the Iowa State defense did, Bill, the Michigan defense keeping very close tabs on tape.
The Michigan defense keeps very close tabs on everybody. And as we said, this is their first severe test of this game. But they take great pride in keeping people out of their end zone after turnovers when the ball is deep in their territory.
In the first quarter this year, Michigan's allowed 13 points and only 13 in the last 3 quarters combined. Iowa yet to be scored on in the first. Sherman off the fake to Banks, going for the end zone, and this one is picked off by Marcus Ray at the 1.
We hear so much about Charles Woodson, and deservedly so. The other secondary players for Michigan are also great, great players. Marcus Ray, in this case, made an outstanding move on the football. Joaquin Fazell, number 90, had pressure on the quarterback. He caused a poor throw.
Matt Sherman with his 4th interception of the year, the first by Marcus Ray.
It's kind of like Louis Armstrong. It's kind of like Neil Armstrong. The new 1998 Infiniti i30. Own one, and you'll understand.
Because they're not getting any younger. Because she'll never believe what you just saw. Because absence really does make the heart grow fonder. Because, well, just because. For whatever reason, Sunday is the day you call people the most. That's why MCI introduces 5-cent Sundays. 5 cents a minute every Sunday, if you're an MCI customer. And if not, call 1-800-SUNDAYS.
Time can be stopped. Timex Ironman Triathlon watches keep going.
In not quite 10 minutes in this first quarter, we've seen 3 turnovers already. Marcus Ray stealing the most recent one at the 1-yard line on a pass intended for the Iowa tight end, Chris Knipper. Wolverine offense, though, taking over, with obviously job number 1, just to gouge it out from right at the lip of their own goal, and Chris Howard is unstacked near the 5-yard line.
Fans have to wonder sometimes how veterans can get in a big game and make so many mistakes. Just remember, it happens to everybody. I've played in a Super Bowl, Super Bowl V. It came to be known as the Blooper Bowl. The Dallas Cowboys, and we were the Baltimore Colts at that time, there were a total of 12 turnovers. We didn't plan to go in and do those things, and neither did these 2 teams.
That is the early tone of this game. And Howard this time spins for no gain right into the arms of Jared DeVries. What I wonder is, when that happens early, does that tend to continue through the rest of the game?
If you get rattled, and again, that can happen to any football team at any level. If you get rattled and begin to come apart at the seams, then it'll happen all day long, especially when you've got 2 great defenses on the field.
And you saw DeVries try to shake something out of the right thigh. A little bit shaken up after that tackle. 3rd and 6. Michigan with Shaw right, Streets coming wide left. And they get Williams out in motion. But they go draw play. Howard, and Chris Howard weaves for a key Wolverine first down at a 14-yard line, where Terry Cooks finally wraps him up. Nice call by the Michigan offense and Mike DeBoer, their coordinator.
On a draw play, it's critically important that the offensive linemen set up as if for pass protection. You want to bait those defensive linemen upfield and failing that, get a stalemate. That happened all the way across the front with Michigan's, as we have said, maturing offensive line.
Two tight ends this time. Aaron Shea went in motion. And Howard out in the clear and chased by Thigpen. Finally catches him from behind at the 42. A 28-yarder for Howard.
This is the play that Ohio State used so successfully against Iowa, and it was only a matter of time until it came out of the bag for Michigan. A great block out here in the open field. It's not tough to block those guys when they're seated. And it's not easy to get out from under somebody when they pile on like that. Perfectly legal block there by Mr. Shaw.
Shaw and Shea, both with key clearing blocks for Howard. Clarence Williams on his first carry, and maybe one to the 43. ESPN continues its college football coverage tonight at 7 when Heisman hopeful Peyton Manning leads the number 9 ranked Vols into an SEC battle with the Crimson Tide of Alabama. All the action tonight on ESPN, your home for college football. Back on the 3rd Saturday of October for the Vols and Bama. 2nd and 9. And the freshman Anthony Thomas gets the call for the first time. He's got another Michigan first. So this drive that started on their own 1 now reaching the Iowa 47.
Jared DeVries, number 94, has been injured. He's out. And Michigan's gone right at his replacement, Corey Brown. They're going to seek to make a living over their right tackle, Big John Jansen. You'll see the double team right here. Chris Zeman and John Jansen getting excellent movement. Nice kick out by Steve Hutchinson. Fullback leading through, and that's how you make yards.
Thomas again, and unable to squeeze through this time. Aaron Klein wrapped him up. To the studio, Mike Tirico, an update.
Here's the update on Ohio State, Indiana, being seen over on the Deuce. And watch Matt Keller, number 23, the fullback, the big block to spring Michael Wiley, 18-yard touchdown. At the extra point, the Buckeyes lead by 7 at the Horseshoe. Back to Ann Arbor.
Big Ten with 3 unbeatens, including Michigan. 4 others with 1 loss, including Ohio State and Iowa. 6 of the top 25 in the ESPN coaches poll this week. Anthony Thomas to the 41. Matt Hughes, the weak side backer, on the stop. Down to the sidelines, Dave Ryan.
Well, Dave, they're looking at the left knee of Jared DeVries. He twisted it in that last goal line situation when Michigan was just starting that last series a few moments ago. He's walking down the sidelines and testing it. Doesn't look like he'll be able to come into the game right away.
Well, however long he's out, Bill, would you figure Michigan to continue to attack that vacancy?
Pound and pound and pound. On the last play, they showed an unbalanced formation that they haven't shown all year and went the other way.
Russell Shaw across in motion. And greasy deliverance to Jeremy Tillman for the first time today. And the tight end, who has really been their best deep threat all year, has the first down and a gain of 11 yards.
Jeremy Tillman is a big league tight end. You'll see him here coming across the field. They want a mismatch with this linebacker right here, Raj Clark. That's exactly what they get. He's literally uncovered when the ball is thrown. Clark and his running mate, Matt Hughes, have got to help control that tight end by at least bumping him off.
Arguably the best tight end in the Big Ten, maybe in the country. Howard trying to pick his way through the middle. And Cooks came up to plug the gap.
Cooks was indeed up at a 3-yard depth to make that play. And when the safeties are up that close to control the running game, you can expect something reasonably soon by way of a play-action pass to freeze the linebackers, cause the safeties to come up and take the run, and then go deep with a post pattern or some similar pattern.
With that, we'll end the first quarter in which nobody could score despite 3 turnovers, 2 by Iowa, 1 on a rare Brian Griese interception. 0-0, but the second quarter will begin with Michigan driving on Hayden Fry's Hawkeyes here in Ann Arbor.
State Farm presents Rules of the Game.
Today we're talking about officiating. In this play, there's a questionable decision. Can one official overrule another?
Life isn't just measured in days or years. It's measured in doorways and walkways. Or a favorite sweater, long outgrown. At State Farm, we give our policyholders a yardstick of their own. It's called the Family Insurance Checkup. It helps them measure their own needs and pick the coverage that's right for them. So call your agent for a checkup. Because insurance, like other things in life, is something you never want to outgrow.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Today we're talking about officiating. In this play, the head linesman ruled a good catch. The field judge overruled the call on the basis of the ball being bobbled. Proper procedure.
Rules of the Game has been brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
It's kind of like an Italian loafer. It's kind of like a steel-toed boot. The Infiniti QX4. Own one, and you'll understand.
It's no fun to itch. That's why Owens Corning created Miraflex Insulation. It's made with a revolutionary fiber that's virtually itch-free. So it not only saves on fuel bills, it's more comfortable to handle and install. Use Miraflex Insulation because life is better when you don't itch. For a free sample of Miraflex fiber, call 1-800-GET-PINK.
They say, boss sells.
Second quarter from the big house. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Dave Ryan. 0-0, but Michigan has it on the 26 of Iowa. And Jared DeVries has returned, although he tried to return earlier. They wouldn't let him.
Yeah, if I were Jared's coach, I'd be saying don't limp. You don't want everybody in America to know you're hurt. Go out there and get ready to play, and Jared looks like he's ready.
Iowa's run only 10 plays all game. The 11th play of this drive is picked off at the 5-yard line by Ples Atkins. The 11th of his career. You gotta wake up, Tony. 6th all-time for the Hawkeyes in picks. Brings it back 14, and Brian Griese, who had 1 interception all season coming into this one, has 2 in this first half. There is a marker down, and they're discussing a flag thrown at the 28 right at about the line of scrimmage. And Steve Newman will tell us about it.
Disregard the flag. The ineligible was not downfield.
Not what Lloyd Carr was hoping to hear.
Yeah, the head coach in a situation like this, Brian Griese has played so well and has received so much attention that the one thing that you do not expect is to have him throw into coverage. And this is simply a throw into coverage, inviting the result that you see.
So the Hawkeyes, who, like Michigan, have given it up twice today, go outside. Damon Gibson, the senior out of Houston, has the catch in front of the coverage by James Whitley.
Dave, I think it's important to explain to the folks exactly what I mean by throwing into coverage. That means there are too many people with white shirts in the area. If it's man coverage, one-on-one, and you've got your receiver with a chance to beat the defender, then you throw it. But when there's more than one, and there were 3 in that case, you pull it down and run and do the best you can.
Quick hitter with a fullback. Berger broke one tackle, but not the second one. He does have the Iowa first. At the 33, where Henny Jones had him around the ankles and would let go. Not many opportunities for Michael Berger to carry it. Just the 14th time this year for the junior former tight end, as his number would suggest, out of Harlan, Iowa.
I would suggest that he get the ball a lot today because the Michigan defense sideline to sideline is too fast, and right at him is a good way to go.
Short drop and juggled with two markers down. Gibson at the 47-yard line of Michigan. And somebody will get flagged for a push-off. 18 yards on the completion. Tommy Hendricks and Whitley have the coverage, and it is defensive pass interference.
Damon Gibson is a receiver that Iowa had feared. He has tremendous speed, so as he makes his break in this direction, Whitley just gets a piece of his jersey and pushes him when the ball is in the air. The college rule is such that once that ball is thrown, you are not allowed to get that last push.
So the 15 yards, setting up Iowa at their 47. First time that Sherman has hooked up with a wideout today. The vast majority of his completions, unlike a lot of teams, unlike Michigan, going this year to his wide receivers. Rob Tynan at fullback, as Banks, noted for his cutbacks, had to cut back the instant he got that pitch, and all he manages is the line of scrimmage where Josh Williams had it.
Tavian Banks, who shows very little emotion, knows that on that play he was 1 inch from popping one of his patented long runs.
The Hawkeye offense has averaged less than 2 minutes this year per scoring drive, and look how many they popped at 58 or better. Banks in 82, Banks 76, Banks 71, 63, and twice Gibson involved, a 58 and a 65-yarder. 39 big plays already for this Iowa attack. Weaving his way all the way. Tavian Banks gone. Touchdown, Banks for Iowa. 53 yards.
Those are the lasers that we talked about in the open. Banks was upset with himself on the previous play because he did not break it. This time he finished the job with superb help by Mike Goff, his right guard, who's considered to be a big league prospect himself. This is 4.23 40 speed, as fast as any back in America.
So a stunned silence in Michigan Stadium as Iowa, as they have everybody except Ohio State this year, gets the big play. Offense cranked up. The extra point by Zach Bromert. And Tavian Banks has struck for the Hawkeyes. 13-29 in the first half. 7-0 Iowa.
Oh, no. Not an offer for another credit card.
We've never gotten one like this.
What is it, made of gold?
Better. This one's a First USA Platinum Visa card.
Uh-huh, at a platinum price. And how much are they talking about? $300, $400 a year just for the privilege?
It's free. No annual fee.
Well, what kind of interest?
Fixed introductory rate is 5.9% APR. Oh, that's the lowest I remember seeing. Maybe we should switch.
To apply for your First USA Platinum Visa card, call this number now. You don't have to be wealthy, just responsible. Having one is a credit to the way you manage your finances, so don't wait. Apply by phone today. Save now and save when the rate goes to a still low fixed 12.99% APR.
Imagine, us with a First USA Platinum Visa card. We deserve it.
They're giving us credit for our good credit.
How about some credit for my good idea?
Red 7! Red 7!
Stephen Greenway is writing his dissertation on quarterback audibles.
Language is power. Blue 83! Blues!
Professor Theismann is his faculty advisor.
Begin. Blue 83! Blue 83! Blue 83! Blue! It's not so easy now, is it? Okay, now. Back to the basics. Here we go. Seashell by the seashore.
There's a conversation that hasn't taken place very much this year. The only other team to hit for a touchdown against the Michigan defense, Notre Dame, and tracking Tavian Banks, now 12 yards shy of 1,000. He's got 7 carries to get there to break the record by Texas Tech's Byron Hanspard from last year in terms of fewest carries to 1,000 yards. Clarence Williams breaking a pretty nice return. Let's check in again with Mike Tirico. Mike.
Dave, back to Baton Rouge for Stuart Patridge, and the Ole Miss Rebels are back on top. 53-yard big ball to Andre Roan. The senior will take it down to the 1-yard line, set up a touchdown from there. LSU trailing by 7. Meantime, in Happy Valley, Penn State 0 passing yards in the first quarter. Aaron Harris just left with a leg injury, and Minnesota leads by 6.
Joe, what does this do mentally for the Michigan defense now that Iowa, as feared, has struck? Out across the 30 on the carry, Chris Howard.
Yeah, we're through with our first play of this series, but if the Michigan defense does not keep its aggressiveness, they'll be in serious trouble today. Sometimes a long run like that can literally paralyze a defense so that one becomes cautious. Players become cautious. They can't let that happen when they get back on the field.
Jim Herman, the defensive coordinator, may be making that exact point. So Iowa already with more points than they average allowing all season. Russell Shaw on a perfectly timed route and pass, and he brought it in for the first down and 16 yards.
And I might add, I could say the same thing for Brian Griese, in that he could become cautious and not make these difficult throws. You see here, excellent move by Shaw, and that's a great throw. That's a very difficult throw. That has to go so that Shaw's the only one who has an opportunity to catch it.
Russell Shaw has not gotten all that much business from Griese this year. Just 12 catches in the first 5 games coming in, as the Wolverines have emphasized diversity and a lot of different targets. Howard continuing to pound the middle and reaches midfield. This Michigan defense, as we said, has not been in this position very often where somebody's struck for a big play. Only Notre Dame had touchdowns at all against them this year. They were on 34 and 26-yard passes, and that's it. That is the sum total of the touchdowns allowed by the Michigan D all season. Just 8 plays of 20 or more yards. Suman was in motion. Howard, though, was the target, and he had at least 10 yards between himself and the nearest Hawkeye defender if it's not overthrown.
One of the very important aspects of Michigan's game plan is to create mismatches, and in this case, they want to get this guy on this guy right here, an inside linebacker. It's not an easy throw. It looks like an easy throw. All quarterbacks struggle with this flare pass, as Griese does here.
They won't enjoy watching that one on the tape. A chance for a big play there. So that leads to a scramble on 3rd and 7. Hemmed in. Griese lets that one fly to the Iowa sideline. And they scream for a flag. Hayden Fry says, how can you not throw a flag on that one?
That is the best foot movement I've seen from Hayden Fry in 30 years. He danced down that sideline. He looked like a ballet dancer. He wants that call. Immediate pressure from John LaFleur, the big guy from South Dakota who's wearing his dad's number. Dad being a linebacker in the early 70s. Hayden is still running in place and still hasn't gotten the call.
Yeah, he might have.
Maybe he did get the call.
At the last instant, at 11th hour, marker thrown. And they're going to move it back after all.
On the offense. Loss of down, 4th down.
Well, that would explain the smile on his face.
Yeah, and I think probably his athletic ability had a lot to do with him getting that call.
That's one of the best athletes ever produced by West Texas. Low snap. Vincent all year has been terrific at handling those. This is the nation's leading punt returner, Tony Collins. His first return goes only 9 on a 38-yard punt. Comes in averaging 24.3 per return. 7-0 Hawkeyes.
Is something telling you it's time to start regrowing your hair? Then do it right with Rogaine. We're so sure it'll work for you. Now when you buy Rogaine, we'll give you one free. You can't lose.
How do you get this equipment to these troops when there's a river between them? Build a bridge. Problem solving. You need it now in college. Learn it now in the Army Reserve.
All that you can be.
Bones, crunch, pass, punt, poise, booze, bash, ball, success, signal, yell, yards, shoot, flank, foot, ball. Discus Athletics. Compete on every field.
If you ever end up in some Ben-Hur movie, in your Pontiac Sunfire GT, with its powerful twin-cam engine, well, you'll be glad you have a quick-handling sports suspension. And, of course, 150 horses. The Pontiac Sunfire GT. Finally, a real set of wheels you can really afford.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Discus Athletic, the brand that lets you compete on every field, and by the legendary Firebird Trans Am from Pontiac.
So Iowa gets the big play touchdown, and then the defense quickly turns the ball right back over to Matt Sherman and the Hawkeye offense. And Sherman looks, but the deep ball wasn't there. It settled short. This is going to lose yardage on the Berger catch. Clint Copenhaver had him tracked over there on the side. Let's go to Dave Bryant.
Well, guys, for Tavian Banks, it was a decision between two sports in high school, soccer and football. In fact, he's such a good soccer player. If he had stuck with the sport, he could have played in college and maybe even at the Olympic level. Tavian says the dribbling in soccer, going this way, actually helps him because peripherally he could see all the defenders coming his way, and that helps him in football. But he says between soccer and football, if it's the NFL, he'll go pro in the NFL, guys.
They pay just a little bit better.
He said it's real easy when all you got to do is carry.
Movement before the snap. It appeared Chris Knipper, the tight end for Iowa, the guilty party this time.
Well, now, Jed Dull, number 82, made this mistake earlier, so now if I'm a coach, what do I do?
Ball start on the offense. 5-yard penalty remains.
I put my veteran Knipper back in the game, and he makes the same cotton-picking mistake. The tight ends will have some long practices. Mark Hendrickson, their coach, was one of our coaches at Georgia Tech through the early 80s, did a marvelous job, and is so happy to be back in his home state of Iowa with lovely wife and family. But Mark won't be happy with that.
Second Hawkeye penalty. White comes left, Gibson is right. And on 2nd and 17, Gibson lost his footing, and it almost turned into another Michigan interception. This time, it bounced in and out of the hands of William Peterson, a true freshman from Uniontown, Pennsylvania.
Coach Carr was livid with the condition of the field last week. It was mostly Michigan slipping and falling, and in this case, it's the Iowa players.
Hey, Gibson does a nice job there. He reaches in and knocks it away from Peterson.
Well, when you're slipping and falling, you're just scrambling to get a hand on the ball.
He became the defender. So 3rd and 17. Incomplete as the blitz was descending on Sherman, intended for Tony Collins.
That's a play most commonly referred to as the jailbreak. I'm surprised that it wasn't directed at Tim Dwight. I'm surprised that it was Tony Collins that was to catch it. Dwight catches those and turns them into long runs more often than not.
And Jim Herman says that's a little bit more like the unit I've seen this year. Jason Baker again set to kick to Woodson as Michigan plays for the return. Woodson making the first man miss just across the 20. Another beauty by Baker. This one good for 50. And just a 5-yard return. 10:07 to go in the second quarter. Woodson and the Wolverines still looking for their first score.
When you have heartburn, indigestion, and pain, these won't give you complete relief. For your worst symptoms, none of these will give you fast relief. Problems this bad need the 100% solution. Alka-Seltzer, the only one with effervescent power to speed relief, plus the medicines to relieve all your symptoms. Don't settle for some relief. Get the 100% solution, Alka-Seltzer. And for your worst gas pain, try Alka-Seltzer Anti-Gas Liquid Gel Caps.
It's so powerful, it's almost scary. Boom. The muscle car lives. The new Trans Am by Pontiac.
In the paint, we are artists with the ball. Muscle, agility, speed, molded into raw power. Synchronized in movement. In unison, we play on our strengths. With explosions of energy, our game becomes a masterpiece. Discus Athletic. Compete on every field.
This series dominated by Michigan, as you might expect, 34-8-4. They've won the last 4 over the Hawkeyes and 7-1-1 over their last 9 meetings. But Hayden Fry teams 3 times have knocked off a top 10 rated Michigan. They come in number 5 in the country this week, but down 7-0. Batted away, but it goes to Streets, the intended target all along. He gets about 8 yards out of it. Well, the first quarter marred by turnover after turnover, and this was the first to set off the whole pattern. Kerry Cooks picking off Greasy. Matt Sherman, though, would give it right back on the missed exchange. Stewart on the recovery. Joe Slattery storming in untouched to block the punt. Sherman, though, intercepted. There's some closing speed on his play. Marcus Ray at his 1-yard line. And in the second quarter, was Atkins stepping in front of Streets. That's the one that set up the 53-yard Tavian Banks touchdown. Here's Howard. And Chris Howard with some strong running in this first half. 13 yards ended by Jason House's tackle.
Now, this play was assured by an excellent block by Jeremy Tooman, number 80, the tight end, who really doesn't line up as a tight end on that particular formation. He came across in motion, turned on the outside man, and drove him 6 or 8 yards onto his back.
Chris Howard now 11 carries and already 69 yards. Try the hot hand again. This time, one maybe. Another Ohio State update from Mike Tirico.
The update from the Big Ten. Ohio State starting to pull to a bit bigger edge over Indiana on the deuce. Joe Germain now in. 10-yard pass to the tight end, John Lumpkin. Buckeyes trying to bounce back from the loss to the Nittany Lions. Lead by 14.
Bouncing back nicely. Iowa defense trying to keep Michigan on that side of the field, which they've done so far about as well as they would have hoped. And right as Michigan comes to the line, there are markers.
This is going to be a formation error on Michigan inexcusable for veteran players. They practice this every single day. Coaches tear their hair out with this.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Tomorrow, NASCAR makes its first ever stop at the new track in Fontana, California. On ESPN, the Busch Grand National Series rolls on in the Kenwood 300 beginning at 4 Eastern. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series fans can turn to the Deuce at the same hour for the No Fear Challenge, the newest race on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck schedule. Demetrius Smith racing out of that huddle. They had one too many men that time. 5th Michigan penalty, and they don't have it set yet. So Greasy has to burn the first timeout with exactly 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. Lloyd Carr will try to settle all the confusion on the Michigan sideline.
Windows. At AmSouth Bank, we see them as windows of opportunity. Because with an AmSouth home equity line of credit, that's what your home becomes. One big window of opportunity. You could borrow up to 100% of the equity in your home. Call 1-800-AmSouth now and watch your window of opportunity open up. It's an opportunity to take that romantic vacation you've always wanted, or make home improvements, even an opportunity to fund education. Remember, you could borrow up to 100% of the equity in your home, and if you call right now, you can borrow at a low 6.99% APR for the first 6 months and a variable rate of prime plus 1.5% for the life of the line with no closing costs. Call 1-800-AmSouth now. You'll have an answer the next business day. That's 1-800-267-6884 for the AmSouth Home Equity Line of Credit. AmSouth Bank, the relationship people.
Athletes come here all the time. You wouldn't believe it how often we see them. We're sort of used to it. It's all about, I think, they just want to be on SportsCenter. But they'll try to sway you, you know.
You make this place work. I've seen the crap the other guys do. I'm not kidding. Like, you're the best. I think you're the best one here. You're not just giving me scores. I mean, you reach the people and you're head and shoulders above the rest. Number one, the presence you have. Hey, I love that tie. You define what sports journalism is. It's good color green on you, too. Picks up your eyes well.
Michigan looking at a 2nd and 14. Today's discus athletic students of the game from Michigan, we go to quarterback Brian Greasy with a 336 GPA in environmental policy. He's finishing up his degree this semester. And from Iowa Senior Center, Derek Rose, an economics major with a 387 GPA. This is Tooman on the completion and right at the marker for the first down. We'll see where they give him the progress. He's going to be close. 13 yards. Ed Gibson made the tackle.
Jeremy Tooman is a great big target that can move, sending him across the field, creating either a mismatch with a linebacker that's supposed to run with him, or having him run through zones where he's difficult to locate. That's what the Michigan offense is after. Jeremy disappointed that he couldn't break that knockdown tackle there by Ed Gibson.
Second catch today, the makings of another big day for the junior from Liberal, Kansas. Greasy with a backwards pass, and Anthony Thomas looking long for Shaw. But harmlessly, this one flutters out of bounds. Looked good, I'm sure, when they were drawing it up.
When secondary coaches coach against that kind of play, they teach their safeties deep responsibility. In that case, Ples Atkins, the corner to the boundary, had responsibility for the deep third. He played his position extremely well, and that's the reason that the throw wasn't there. When he gets careless and thinks he's going to come up and tackle the screen, that's when you see those long touchdown passes by tailbacks like Anthony Thomas.
Well, Penn State trailing Minnesota early. Number 5 Michigan down midway in the second. On 2nd and 10, plenty of protection, and Tooman out there roaming free again inside the Hawkeye 30, where Gibson undercuts him. 18 yards on his 3rd catch of the first half.
And I can tell you right now that Iowa is going to continue to see number 80, Jeremy Tooman, coming across the field. He'll come into your picture from the bottom. with a linebacker chasing him. That's Matt Hughes, who's an excellent player, but he doesn't run quite as fast as number 80.
Well, at this point, Tooman has burned now 3 teams. The wide receivers have not had nearly as much impact on the offense. Surprising to you that Tooman gets as little attention as he does. Here's Thomas. Spins inside the 25. I mean, that continues to be something that Michigan exploits.
The first replay we saw in this game of Jeremy Tooman, what was happening? He was being mugged as he tried to get off the line of scrimmage. He had 3 people that were beating up on him. Iowa will have to go back to that and keep him from getting a clean release. If they can knock him off even momentarily, then those linebackers and safeties will be able to stick with him. But they'll have to do that or he's going to eat them up all day.
Did it to Colorado, did it to Northwestern last week. He's doing it again. 2nd and 7, and here's Thomas. A lot of power to go with his straight-on speed.
We asked Lloyd Carr in our meeting with him yesterday, can we expect to see number 32, Thomas, more? The answer was a sort of a wry smile. You see this young freshman here who has more running ability than any of the other backs on the team. It is believed by the coaches. A big, powerful man who's beginning to get a feel for the offense. This is that unbalanced formation that they had shown earlier.
Once again, whistle flags before the ball is snapped.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That is 6 penalties, mostly of this variety against Michigan.
What we see here now, this is both offensive tackles to one side. Very unusual. Jeff Backus moves over from the left side and lines up next to John Jansen. So you've got an unbalanced formation with about 600 pounds of beef lined up together. And here it is again.
But they keep backing themselves up. So 1st and 15 for Anthony Thomas. Near the 15. What's happening now with Indiana, Ohio State? Mike Tirico.
Well, Ohio State keeps pulling away and pulling away. Jay Rogers back to pass for Indiana. Off the deflection. Great athletic ability by Clinton Wayne. 6'3", 270, the freshman defensive end. The INT and the TD.
So that one pretty much as expected. Not so here, not in Ann Arbor where it's Iowa 7-0, but Michigan driving for the possible tying score. They've reached the Hawkeye 15. Reaching pass batted down at the line of scrimmage. Jared DeVries, all 6'4", 265 pounds up.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, DeVries just deprived Kerry Cooks of the next interception of the game. Number 15, Cooks, the strong safety, had drawn a bead on this play. He would have plucked this thing and gone the distance. You can't see him from our angle, but it was very evident from the actual play.
So 3rd and 11. As big a play as the Iowa defense has yet faced. Greasy not pressured for the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Marcus Ty Streets with the catch from Brian Greasy.
This ball is thrown into a very small window. As you see, number 86 Streets work his way on the curl. That looks like a lot of space, but that's a difficult throw. Execution is what causes touchdowns.
For Streets, his 3rd touchdown of the year. And for Craig Baker, the tying PAT. So we're 7-7. 4:53 to go in the first half from the Big House. Greasy to Ty Streets to tie it up.
Let's see. I dropped off Jason at soccer practice. Dropped off Katie at her dancing lessons. Dropped off the dog at the vet.
Kelly Springfield tires are designed to go a long way.
Shirts at the dry cleaners.
And we've got the warranties to prove it.
Let's see. Am I forgetting anything? Oh,
Oh, yeah. Pick up Jason at soccer practice.
So get a set of Kellys and go.
Pick up Katie at her dancing lessons. Pick up prescription at the pharmacy.
Kelly Springfield. Get every mile you can out of life.
Dry cleaning.
Still shaving with blades. We know how you feel about that. The Norelco Reflex Action Razor. Anything closer could be too close for comfort. It has a lubricating comfort strip. And for a lot of guys, that's not much comfort. The Norelco Reflex Action Razor. Anything closer could be too close for comfort.
Jim Harbaugh and Jay Lewinberg for 1-800-COLLECT.
Jim, next time you call me collect, call me 1-800-COLLECT.
Jay, give it a rest.
No, 1-800-COLLECT saves me up to 44%. Yeah? Are we going to practice or what?
You should have used 1-800-COLLECT!
Think Jim's learned his lesson? One more play ought to do it. 1-800-COLLECT. Save up to 44%.
Notre Dame had Michigan by a touchdown at the half. They stormed back in that one. They have come back to tie this one at 7-7, just under 5 minutes to go in the half. Luke Bealey's kick is returned by Richard Carter. Out to the 28-yard line. ESPN2 continues its college football coverage tonight at 6. The number 4 Tar Heels battling the Wolfpack in an in-state showdown in Raleigh. And we follow that one up at 9 with the number 21 Bulldogs against the Commodores in an SEC East matchup. All the action on ESPN2, your home for college football tonight. Couple of emotional swings, momentum swings in this first half here.
Very important for Iowa to get a big play early, and they did. Very important for Michigan to answer, and they did.
Now Sherman being chased by Jones. D'Haney Jones can run a little bit.
I was just about to say that Sherman had surprised me with his speed until I saw him try to outrun D'Haney Jones. Jones looks to me to be a 4-5 type guy. He's an outstanding student. And it's nice when you're bright and you can fly.
He replaces the injured Eric Mays, the former walk-on who had been elected captain, out for the year after knee surgery. Jones, though, stepping right in, has led Michigan in tackles each of the last 2 weeks in the absence of Mays. To Banks on a 1 tackle under the 33. Sam Sword finally there to grab Tavian Banks.
So we see the offensive thinking of Iowa progressing here. It's very clear that they agree that the right way to attack Michigan is straight up. Get after them, because when you try to go side to side, they track you down like heat-seeking missiles.
Tavian Banks, by the way, 76 yards. He came in needing 81 to go to 1,000. His 53-yarder for the only Iowa score so far. Michigan a little bit too anxious this time on the blitz with Sword and Jones ready to storm the gates before the snap.
Sam Sword felt like he had the snap count calculated. We'll see if he was correct.
Well, he's applauding, and Iowa's moving back. He was correct.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
It is so important as a poised offensive lineman. Look right in this region. You'll see people, Mike Goff moving early. When Mike moves, then his right tackle, McKinney, moves. You must sit in there. That's the discipline of the O-lineman. That's football. Doesn't matter who's running at you.
Sherman now having to bark it out over the crowd on 3rd and 11. Off the play fake. Intercepted at the 45. The second in this first half for Marcus Ray.
Marcus Ray showed his experience. He baited Sherman into this throw. He hung and hung. He didn't let Sherman see that he had good coverage. He sat in the middle. He's right over here, just out of the picture, until the ball is thrown, and then he makes this break. That's his second interception of the day. And he is demonstrating senior leadership for this great defense.
Sherman, as you said, not aware of where Ray was until, unfortunately for him, it was too late. Knipper had a step on Sword, didn't see Marcus. So Michigan now thinking about a halftime lead. Forget it. Interception. Ed Gibson with a big return. Inside the 5, stretches toward the goal line and almost made it at the 1. Iowa, after a 63-yard return by Ed Gibson, will have it first and goal.
2 consecutive ill-advised throws by 2 veteran quarterbacks who should know better. What's happened is these 2 quarterbacks have obviously made a decision that they're going to have to force things and make big plays today, and they have both cost their team. This is what you call good field position.
Well, a couple of teams that have not been plagued by turnovers, certainly to this degree, and that is the story, beginning and ending of the story for this first half. Ed Gibson with his first pick of the year to set up the Iowa touchdown. As the fullback, Berger, just plowed over left tackle to give the Hawkeyes the lead back.
That was an old-fashioned power eye with those linemen down in 4-point stances, their elbows bent, their knees bent, nose to the ground, and root hogging off the football to move the line of scrimmage backwards. You'll see the line of scrimmage actually move into the end zone, which allows the fullback, Berger, number 85, to knock it in for the touchdown.
Which he enjoyed. Banks gets most of the scoring opportunities. And that's the first this year for Berger. The extra point is blocked. So keep it at 13-7 Iowa.
Careless protection up front causes those kinds of blocks.
The 63-yard return by Gibson, though, made the Berger touchdown possible, and it's 13-7. McLaughlin's going to kick it off for Iowa after Zach Brommert, who was 30 of 31 for the year, had the extra point blocked by James Hall of Michigan. 13-7, 2:27 to go first half. McLaughlin with a boot on the 23, Paige Gansky on the return. Let's check in with Mike Tirico.
Dave, we're coming up to the National Car Rental Halftime Report. Stories we will cover. Penn State in trouble, trailing Minnesota at halftime. The Buckeyes in their game against Indiana. And we'll check out what's going on in the Big East. It includes Syracuse having no problem with Temple. That, plus Chris Lee and Kirk, coming up at halftime.
Penn State fans so happy at Florida's loss last week, they rioted outside the Beaver Stadium. Perhaps a bit too premature a celebration as they struggle with the Gophers today.
That premature rioting will get you every time.
Is there ever a good time for rioting is really the question.
Charles Woodson is in the game at the inside receiver on the right side.
Let they go. Draw play for Howard, and it's knocked loose. It looked after the tackle, but the ball recovered at the 41 by Iowa.
That's 94 Jared DeVries, who fought through the knee injury to get back on the field, who knocked that ball loose. Football is a game of ball security, field position, blocking and tackling. Jared DeVries got a nice play going here, does Howard. DeVries tackles the ball, knocks it out. Nice play by the big man. Unusual, a big man who's made a lot of All-American teams is referred to as a finesse player by his coaches. That was not finesse.
Matt Hughes, the man that recovered it for the Hawkeyes. Howard, though, may have an argument because if his knee wasn't already down, it was pretty close.
Well, those arguments aren't worth much in this league at this point.
Michigan's defense so strong all year, these quick change opportunities. This one is overthrown at the goal line, intended for Gibson. And the coverage from the freshman Peterson. More Big Ten football today on ABC as part of regional coverage. We're going to get 3:30 Eastern. Number 11, Michigan State, traveling to Northwestern. They need a win to set up the showdown with Michigan next week. Other games, Georgia Tech tackling third-ranked Florida State, Washington, Arizona, and in the Big 12, Texas A&M visiting Kansas State. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Matt Sherman up 6 and in great shape to add to that before the half. Banks again tried to cut back as soon as he got the ball, and the footing wasn't there for him.
That's the first time in either of the last 2 games we've seen here in the Big House where the poor footing actually helped Michigan. In the past, it's always been the Michigan players that seem to struggle with the turf. But a great athlete like Banks must be able to get good purchase, good footing in order to make the severe cuts that he makes. And in that case, it just wasn't there. It ripped up.
So 3rd and 15. Michigan offense has given it up 4 times on giveaways. The defense, though, trying to get it back for them once more. And this one is batted around, and with 3 blue jerseys converging on it, none of them can come up with it. And Flint Copenhaver can't believe that result.
Well, Michigan has come back with Jim Herman's favorite kind of defense, which is to get after him with the blitz. So you've got man coverage here. And a break on the ball by the rookie Peterson is all it takes to break up the play.
Copenhaver would have had it, and so would Sword, but they outfought each other for it.
6 true freshmen have played for the Wolverines, and Peterson's been one of the real pleasant surprises.
Baker's had a big first half. Angles this one away from Woodson. It gets the roll. Inside the 4.
Jason Baker is one of the most impressive true freshmen I've seen in a long, long time. I liked his leg action, even though his results weren't great 2 weeks ago. His results today have been superb.
Down to Dave Ryan.
Well, guys, Michigan offensive coordinator Mike DeBoer says he gave his team 2 quizzes during the week during contact drills. He wanted to make sure they got through every single exercise, every drill, without a fumble. They did that, and he was pleased they passed the 2 quizzes. Now he wanted to make sure they passed the test in this game. That was not fumbling against the Hawkeyes, but it's happened today in addition to live interceptions.
Yeah, the worst fears playing out. But I tell you what, with 4 giveaways to the Iowa offense, as high-powered as they are, to only have surrendered 13 points, not many, if any, other defenses could have salvaged as close a first half as they have. Williams to the 9, under a minute.
Well, there's a reason that they're the #1 ranked defense in America. They've already given up almost 3 times more than their average per game, and we haven't gotten to the half. I think you're right, Dave, but I think they've got their hands full today with the Hawkeyes.
Well, they knew that coming in. They knew they couldn't afford this many giveaways. Uncharacteristic, especially by Greasy. Williams pulled down from behind. by DeVries. They said yesterday when they run away from him, he's such a great finesse player. That's where he shows his true ability. When they run right at him and attack him head on, he struggles.
Well, it reminds one of playing against the old Deacon Jones type player who was just awesome coming from the backside. Jared DeVries is similar in that he takes severe slants and moves so quickly and so well for a big guy that he gets in your backfield.
He is still limping.
Well, Jared and I will have to have a meeting at the half. You can't let people know that you're hurt. They'll figure out which leg it is for the second half. They hadn't blocked him yet, though, so maybe he ought to hurt the other leg.
Coming up, the National Car Rental Halftime Report.
So far, unofficially, he's caused a fumble, knocked a pass down, a tackle for a loss, and got 5 tackles total.
Mike Tirico in the studio. We'll hear again from Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, and Kirk Herbstreit, all down in Auburn, where they're preparing, along with several thousand fans, ringing their outdoor studio for Auburn, Florida later. 23 seconds to go in this first half.
Yeah, I promise you it's more than several thousand.
Well, that's just outside the state.
Many.
First timeout just called by Iowa. They each have 2. Williams, nothing, no gain, and another quick Hawkeye turnover, or timeout call with just 5 seconds elapsed and 18 seconds.
That's good football. Taking those 2 timeouts forces the Wolverines to punt the ball here, and that has become a little more of an adventure than Lloyd Carr would like. They've had problems with the long snap. Now they've had problems with protection in this game, and more pointedly, they've had problems getting the ball off quick by their punters.
What Carr's got to worry about is both Dwight and Collins are back. First time they punted it, they dropped Dwight back at single safety, and he seemed to lose it in the sun and let it bounce.
He did. He lost it in the sun.
So at this point, they've dropped them both back as Jason Vincent is 8 yards deep in his own end zone. They line up right in front of one another and hope that Dwight is able to guess right, and in this case, he is driven back inside his 40 on a big punt by Vincent. Reverses field, gets a block, and weaves the other way, and he's going to go. Tim Dwight brings this one back as time elapses in the first half. Mercy, 61-yard return by Dwight.
The Iowa team is electrified by their most electrifying player. Tim Dwight has turned over the Heisman run to Tavian Banks, but he might have just vaulted right back into the picture. And a great open field block by Rob Tyne, number 31.
Only the 6th time this year a team has allowed Tim Dwight to make a return.
And David, there is no time on the clock.
He got to about midfield and he started to think, well, should he just go down and give that offense one more shot? Never entered his mind, quite obviously.
Tim doesn't think quite that way. Going for 2.
This made necessary by the blocked extra point. On the roll, wide open is Knipper. And so the first half expires with a 61-yard punt return by Tim Dwight. A fired-up Hayden Fry. And over 100,000 very unhappy Wolverine fans in the big house. This goes straight on to the Tim Dwight highlight reel. One of his best. And it makes for a 21-7 Iowa halftime lead.
Well, Dave, a team that gave up 26 points all year, Michigan.
Welcome back to the big house. Dave Barnett and Bill Curry. A stunning end to the first half and a play that will be second-guessed forever if Michigan loses this game. The decision to punt it to Tim Dwight.
Lloyd Carr will live with this for a long, long time, and he'll see this in his dreams because it's really not a simple call, because there's a possibility of a blocked punt if you punt directionally out of your own end zone. But the kick to Tim Dwight, instead of kicking out of bounds, set up an opportunity for this phenomenal athletic play by Tim Dwight, who is one of the rockets we mentioned in the open. Tim Dwight who led the nation, or second the nation in punt returns a year ago. Then with the 2-point, we have the result of 21-7.
Set for the start of the second half as we check in with Dave Ryan on the sidelines.
Dave and Bill, thanks. A couple of moments ago, I just talked with Iowa head coach Hayden Fry, who said plain and simple, his team has got to play this game as if it's 0-0 right now. Forget the big lead this team has. They've got to continue to execute, stop making mistakes, especially with turnovers. He feels confident his Hawkeyes can win, as he told us yesterday they could, here in Ann Arbor today, guys.
Yeah, if you told him before this first half began that his team would turn it over 3 times, he might figure they would be down 14 points instead of up 14, but they got 4 back from Michigan, including 3 Brian Griese interceptions. First half numbers. Michigan on the ground. Remember, this is Tavian Banks on the ground for Iowa. 118.77. And through the air, just 7 passing yards by Iowa. So 195-84 is your total yardage advantage for Michigan. How can you trail by 14? 2 reasons: the turnovers and the Iowa big play. Greg McLaughlin set for the second half kickoff. Clarence Williams is the deep man for Michigan. And the Michigan fans got their frustration out of their system as their team was heading to the locker room at the end of the first half. When they came back out, they gave them maybe the biggest roar of approval of the year. So they're ready to try and help this Wolverine come from behind effort. Short kick and a return by Kevin Bryant for Michigan. Both teams looking at this one as definitely a true test, maybe the first of the year for Michigan, although they did get a pretty good challenge from Notre Dame, and Iowa in their first true test defeated by Ohio State. The Tulsa offense, or the Tulsa defense they faced, 111 in the country. Ohio State 46 in the country. Williams off right tackle about 3. Well, there was no question coming in that as far as Iowa was concerned, having flunked that Ohio State test, they had a chance today to show what they really are, and so far they've done it. Iowa offense number 2 nationally, 516 per game. Now the Michigan defense allowing against Indiana a couple of weeks ago, 157. Notre Dame, a little bit better offense, 354. This Iowa offense, clearly the best that they faced this year, and only 84 total yards in the first half. Certainly, they have passed, but they're down. Williams, a nice game, swinging out and knocked out at the 48 after 16 yards by Ples Atkins.
We talked about mismatches, and we knew they would get back to this situation with the tailback, Chris Howard, matched up on number 44, Raj Clark, the inside linebacker, the swing pass, this time successfully executed for a nice game. Tailbacks run faster than linebackers.
Raj Clark, a big linebacker at 245 pounds. Anthony Thomas gets the call. Trying to break that last ankle tackle by Clark, but unable to do so.
Anthony showed a little inexperience there. He is a true freshman, although a good one. He had the cutback for a big gainer and just didn't see it.
Clark out of Baytown, Texas, which, not surprisingly, when Hayden Fry took over at Iowa, Texas became his second favorite recruiting ground. He was able to close the door on the Iowa high school stars leaving the state. Very seldom does that happen anymore, and he brings in more than his share from Texas. Williams trying the other side this time. And let's see where they mark him out, right about where he needed to get for the first down at the 37.
A major part of offensive planning is to find mismatches, and in this case, it's the running back Clarence Williams on the strong safety. You see Williams going in the direction of his right, another nice throw and catch, matched up with the strong safety Kerry Cooks, and athletically, the running back should prevail in the open field as he did in that case.
First down it is. catches today for Greasy's favorite target, Williams. Clarence now goes to fall on the ground. Piece of work there, and a late flag on apparently a late hit. Right at the Michigan bench. If you're going to make a late hit, that's not the place to do so.
Good block that time by the backup tight end, 36, Aaron Shea. The spring Clarence Williams. It is a late hit. Here comes Clarence behind Shea's outstanding block. Gets to the sideline. A little holding there by Demetrius Smith that wasn't called. And it's Kerry Cooks, the defensive captain, number 15. I'm sorry, Eric Thigpen, number 21, who came and made just a little bit of a late hit. Was not an intent to injure, just a little late. A step out of bounds. It's very costly.
Has been a game of mishaps. 5 interceptions, 2 fumbles, 11 plays for lost yards, a blocked extra point, a blocked punt. A strong start, though, to this third quarter drive for the Wolverines. And Anthony Thomas for maybe a yard.
There is a very strong theory among coaches that the first 5 minutes of the third quarter is the most important part of a football game. If that is the case, Michigan is certainly taking advantage of it in this situation.
Yeah, they have the look of a team that, rather than getting railed at the half by Lloyd Carr, heard a settle down speech.
Well, I think that would have been the right thing. You never know what coaches say or think, but that's probably what happened.
Williams bouncing outside and run down by Kerry Cooks at the 10. There's the closing speed on the display by Mr. Cooks. Let's go down to Dave Ryan.
Well, guys, Lloyd Carr, head coach of Michigan, told his team in the halftime locker room, as you saying a moment ago, one drive at a time. Let's be careful with the football, but don't give up by any means. And, Dave, if you could have seen the players blast by me in the runway heading onto Michigan Stadium Field here, they were completely fired up for the second half. So it's obvious, despite the fact they're down by 14, they're far from giving up in this game.
Injured player for Iowa, Raj Clark.
It would appear that it's a shoulder. This is the second linebacker that Iowa has lost, and they can't afford to lose many folks in one position. I had the opportunity to visit with Coach Bo Schembechler, the legendary Michigan coach, yesterday. We were talking about the fact that the numbers are just too low. 85 scholarships doesn't allow for enough players to have a complete squad and to practice as hard as you would like. So when you lose a few players, you really can't maintain the quality. Coach Schembechler thinks we need to add about 15 scholarships and make freshmen ineligible, and I agree with him.
Well, Clark able to walk off and try to shake it off. Remember, he's in there only because Vernon Rollins is out for the year after ACL surgery. Here's a 3rd and 6. Greasy has to step away from...
Y'all ready for this?
It continues. Heritage Nissan is having a massive 97 inventory reduction sale. All new 97s in stock will be sold regardless, with a $2,000 rebate on all trucks, Sentras, and 200 SXs. Hurry while the selection is good. If you haven't seen it yet, come see how really big the 98 Altima really is. We're Heritage Nissan, 1321 Martha Berry Boulevard. The only name you'll ever need on your car, Heritage.
Y'all ready for this?
My house burned.
That was a tough day.
He didn't treat us as a policy holder. He treated us as a neighbor, as a friend.
I gave him a check right away. We went from there to putting the pieces back together.
He's not a hero in the sense of a sports hero or a movie star. He's a quiet hero.
He looks out for everyone in the neighborhood.
It's gone from being a slogan to really being my way of life.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could synchronize traffic to your every movement? if you could do away with all obstacles. Even make trains run on your schedule. It's like that at Shell, where our stations are designed so nothing slows you down. Shell, moving at the speed of life.
Dodge Dakota offers a choice. A torquey Magnum 4 that is not the typical wimpy whiner, a serious high-output Magnum V6, and a real live Magnum V8. The only V8 in its class. 468. Now who do you appreciate? Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Sonic, America's Drive-In, where we invite you to drive in for a change. And by the new Dodge. It's about change.
The Harlan Hatcher Library here on campus. Well, precisely the drive that Michigan hoped for to open the third quarter, and exactly the guy they don't want to have affect this game any more than he already has. But they again kick it to Tim Dwight from 1 yard deep, and they're ready for him.
Number 20, Ian Gold, made that happen. He did not make the tackle, but he forced Tim Dwight to make a move. A reserve linebacker, a former running back, for whom the Michigan coaches have high hopes. Ian Gold set that play up.
We'll talk to some long-time Iowa fans who've seen pretty much every play of Tim Dwight's career at the half. They said that punt return probably is the best of his career, and that's saying a whole lot. That's putting it up there in the pantheon of some of the biggest plays ever by an Iowa Hawkeye. It's the only time he touched the ball in the first half. But the Wolverines have erased that damage with their opening drive. And Banks turns his back and tries to back up to the line of scrimmage where he runs into Rob Renas. In the second half, here's all teams have gotten against this Michigan defense this year. Baylor, 32 total yards. Indiana, 82. Only 3 points surrendered. None in the fourth quarter. Sherman unable to hit Dwight on just his 10th pass. He's 2 out of 10 today with 2 interceptions. So the Iowa passing game has been completely obliterated.
And in a year when the wide receivers have been such a major factor, and when Sherman has been so outstanding, and that makes a statement about the fact that the Michigan defense is doing something right in today's game. Certainly an awful lot. As far as Tim Dwight, as soon as I saw he had barbed wire on his bicep, I knew he was tough. I thought it was a tattoo, but I think now maybe it's not even a tattoo, it's the real thing.
Might be. Draw play, and Banks able to show that burst. Shook into the clear, and he's got a first down for Iowa. 17 yards for Tavian Banks.
Tavian Banks is pure acceleration. Very, very rarely do you see anybody in any sport that gets hampered, has to make a move left, right, and then can explode in the manner that Tavian Banks does. It's exciting to see.
And with that, he goes over the 1,000-yard mark this year. Tries the left side. There's some room there, too. Great job, though, by William Peterson to reach out and trip him up along the side. Tavian with a shot today at becoming the fastest ever to 1,000 yards. And by 4 carries, he's done it. He beat Byron Hanspard's record from last year, 125 carries to the 1,000-yard mark. Sanders, Rozier, Allen, not a bad list, and he's the best of the bunch. Charles Woodson, was the guilty party for Michigan in this exchange of personal fouls.
I think what happened was that Woodson got off on the sideline, the Iowa sideline, and there was a little pushing and shoving and the kind of thing that you hope doesn't happen. And what we end up with is offsetting penalties. It really doesn't make much of a statement about anybody or to anybody.
On the Hayden Fry bench, it looked like Richard Carter was the man they flagged for Iowa. So the offset, and it's 2nd and 1.
Richard was surrounded by his teammates. That's a good time to take on Charles Woodson. Not the only good time.
And plowing ahead for the first is Berger. Penn State struggling at home all day with Minnesota. Mike Tirico, what's happening now?
Yeah, Dave, after having a field goal block, Minnesota goes back on defense. Mike McQueary, 4th turnover of the day into the hands of Ben Mazzara. Minnesota's lining up a 5th field goal attempt of the day. Right now it's 12-3 there. Meantime, Wisconsin has given up 2 touchdown runs to Edwin Watson. They trail Purdue by 21.
Wow. Upsets in the making everywhere, but none bigger than at Happy Valley. Minnesota made the field goal. It is 15-3. Deep for Gibson, one-on-one with Woodson. That's how he locks up everybody.
It was very clear that Iowa intended to go at Charles Woodson in their planning. If you want to see what man coverage is supposed to look like, it was a hitch and go, and you've got athletic ability, knee bend, excellent turn, recovery speed by the great Charles Woodson. That's how a corner is supposed to look. You will see him playing for a long, long time.
Well, they planned to go right at him, but that's the first time they actually have. 1 yard, if that, for Banks. Into the arms of Dehaney Jones. So 3rd and 8 for Iowa, which has seen Matt Sherman miss on his last 7 pass attempts. And again for the day, just 2 of 11 for 7 yards through the air with 2 interceptions. Wide left. Gibson again matched with Woodson on the other side. Looks for Dwight, overthrows him.
And he overthrew him because Glenn Steele was lying on his shoulder pads as he tried to release the ball. Steele comes from quarterback's right. He had plenty of time to step up and deliver the ball, even though Steele was there, but he overthrew.
Michigan has just completely erased, Bill, the number 10 passer in the country. And of all their masterpieces this year, in the pass defense category, this is the best. Woodson. He got away. Woodson able to shake loose. On what looked like a hopeless effort, he brings it back 9. 42-yard punt by Baker. 9:15 to go in the 3rd, but a different feel in the big house right now.
When the unexpected happens, Dodge Dakota swings into action. Standard dual airbags help guard you from the front. High-strength steel door beams help shield you from the side, while the front seats are designed to help protect you from the rear. When it came to building a safer truck, we considered all the angles. Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises.
Welcome, Buddy Lazier. Hi there, I'm Jimmy Vassar. How can I help you? At Firestone, we take our competitive tradition seriously. Take our sale on FR360 steel-belted radials. Now competitively priced at 4 for $99. With a 45,000-mile limited warranty. But this sale won't last long, so hurry into Firestone.
It's Madden 98, talking patented moves Madden style, like the Reverend Swim, Motown, go.
Let me see. The Sanders Whirly Gig.
Or Lloyd's Leveler, the Junior Say Uncle.
The Berry Good. The Sanders Six Machine. The Scary Berry. And,
Let's not make up our own nicknames. eh, Barry?
See ya.
See ya. Give me some moose. 1-888-MY-HOUSE. We're talking signature tattoos, signing your name in mud. Madden NFL 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Michigan taking over at their 27. Before the game, in game day, we heard Brian Griese, the Michigan quarterback, say he knew at some point, and it's turned out today's the day, at some point the Michigan offense would have to win a game. It hasn't really happened this year, maybe the Notre Dame game, because the defense has taken care of things so well. Well, down 7, early third quarter. So far, they look equal to the pass as they call on Thomas on the ground.
Carried by Anthony Thomas. Jared DeVries made the stop.
3 key plays on Michigan's outstanding drive early is the swing pass with the mismatch. And I say mismatch, Kerry Cooks later showed with a better angle that it might not have been such a mismatch. Here comes an excellent run by Clarence Williams, and then the late hit on the side by Eric Thigpen, and then the big pass for the touchdown with the obvious offensive interference that wasn't called.
Griese, almost a juggling catch by Ty Streets, who had the first Wolverine touchdown of the day.
Very difficult to see whether Ed Gibson gets a hand in here, but if he doesn't, this is another kind of catch that Ty Streets has got to make. I still can't tell if his fingers touched it, but if they didn't, that receiver, the big-time receivers, make those catches.
Michigan today even better than their sparkling seasonal average. On third, DeVries, though, almost untouched to wrap up Griese.
DeVries is really showing me something, and I suspect he's showing his coaches something in this game, because he's playing hurt with that knee, but he's going full speed, 100 miles an hour. Now, Chris Zeman, the right guard for Michigan, also showed us something. He showed a blown assignment, and nobody even blocked on Jared, which made it considerably easier to get there.
They are coming after Vincent again. Well, he sails a beauty. White, the only man back there. And no damage this time for Steve White. The return ends at the 35 after 9 yards. 54-yard move by Vincent. Tim Dwight, characterized by Hayden Fry as the greatest competitor he has ever coached. He talks about his style.
He just plays football the way it should be played. You know, I have a good time just, you know, making things happen. And for a small guy on the field, you got to give that 110%, or, you know, you'll basically be left by the wayside.
Tell you what, he's 5'9". They list him at 185 pounds.
Well, I grabbed his arm yesterday, Dave, and he is not a small guy. His biceps about 18 inches.
Yeah, I'd really question a 185.
He's just not real tall, but he is a big little guy.
Davian Banks, with the exception of his 53-yarder, and one nice burst on the last series, pretty well bottled up. Let's hear from Mike Tirico.
Well, the Randy Moss machine continues. Marshall may be one of its tougher games this year in the MAC against Miami of Ohio. Down 7-0, Chad Pennington, a 41-yard touchdown pass. It's Moss's 17th on the year. They're all tied at 7 in the MAC.
Still got to think about Randy Moss and the Heisman. The numbers he's putting up, they're kind of imperative. Here comes White on a reverse. Gets away from Hall. Chased by Frizzell. Knocked out of bounds by Peterson. So the first Hayden Fry exotic of the afternoon, and Michigan was ready.
Hayden said yesterday, we're going to have to go to our exotics. Peterson not looking like a true freshman here as he tracks down Tim Dwight. Good play by James Hall to force him deep, which is what allows the pursuit to catch up. A reverse is called a hustle play. 11 men to the ball, and that's what happened there. But it all hinged on number 56, James Hall, staying at home.
I don't know, Tim might be a little dizzy over there. Peterson got it pretty good.
Well, Tim doesn't get dizzy. Tim creates dizzy.
Hayden Fry had said, against a team like Michigan, you can't just come with your normal bag of tricks.
Hayden probably has several more, and Lloyd Carr has pulled out one of his with the lateral pass. Lateral was not a part of football lexicon. It was a backward pass and then a forward pass, which didn't work. So none of the exotics, so-called, have worked.
A little bit of a delay to get the clock adjusted. Hawkeyes today just 1 of 7, but the average 3rd and 10, and this is 3rd and 11. Sherman finds Banks underneath, but he can't find any room at all, and wiping him out from behind was Renas.
There just aren't many good calls on 3rd and 11. And we're seeing this, what we call the jailbreak type abbreviated screen behind the line of scrimmage with the lineman out front. We're seeing it so much that defenses are adjusting. They're throwing them up with the linebackers. Renas comes from behind, number 58, to make the play.
Don Patterson, the offensive coordinator on the left for Iowa, said yesterday, obviously with a Hayden Fry team, he's going to have an awful lot of input with his creativity, but on 3rd and 11, pretty much Don's show.
Yeah, he said Hayden doesn't have much to say when it gets past 3rd and 6 or so.
Woodson out to the 28. 43-yard punt comes back 12. 6:01 to go in the 3rd in a 7-point game at Ann Arbor.
Oh, no. Not an offer for another credit card.
We've never gotten one like this.
What is it, made of gold?
Better. This one's a First USA Platinum Visa card.
Uh-huh, at a platinum price. I mean, how much are they talking about? $300, $400 a year just for the privilege?
It's free. No annual fee.
Well, what kind of interest?
Fixed introductory rate is 5.9% APR. Oh, that's the lowest I remember seeing. Maybe we should switch.
To apply for your First USA Platinum Visa card, call this number now. You don't have to be wealthy, just responsible. Having one is a credit to the way you manage your finances, so don't wait. Apply by phone today. Save now and save when the rate goes to a still low fixed 12.99% APR.
Imagine us with a First USA Platinum Visa card. We deserve it.
They're giving us credit for our good credit.
How about some credit for my good idea?
Win a trip or two to ESPN's Bristol University or other great prizes from Foot Action when you take ESPN's Bristol University entrance exam. Watch NFL Countdown this Sunday. Stop by any Foot Action store or call 1-800-821-6000. Take ESPN's Bristol University entrance exam.
The Tour tees it up in Vegas as defending champ Tiger Woods looks to tame the fast greens of the TPC at Summerlin. The Las Vegas Invitational. Coverage begins Friday at 3.
On that last series, Iowa trying to get Tim Dwight the ball on the reverse. It was strung out successfully, and we didn't see him after this big hit by Peterson.
That's right. This is an extremely physical game. You'll see Peterson come from the deep secondary, full speed. He never let up. He really leveled Tim Dwight. It's tough to do.
Clarence Williams coming through, called on early and often in this 3rd quarter with some of his best ball of the season. Let's look at it again, the Dwight reverse.
I think this is symbolic of the kind of game we see here, where people are playing full bore. This is a big hit by a true freshman on a great senior player, and everybody on the field is laying it on the line, and that's why you love Big Ten football.
Williams good for 8. And a better than 2-to-1 advantage in total yards gets even bigger. Here's a cutback by Thomas, and Anthony Thomas has one man to beat with an angle. Eric Bigton shoves him out inside the 5.
And another big block by 76 Steve Hutchinson, the redshirt freshman from Coral Park, Florida. All day long, I've said that Thomas really wasn't seeing the cutback. In this case, he sees it, and when the big guy sees it, he's off to the races.
58 yards, last gasp right there. Thigpen got him at the 4. Michigan almost perfect scoring inside the 20 this year. Williams with a lean right at the goal line, and they didn't quite get him in. He is a couple of feet out.
They've been down there 24 times. They've had 16 touchdowns and 7 field goals prior to this game. Coach Carr's got to be very pleased with the attitude of his squad coming out here 14 points down and now just about into the end zone to give themselves a chance to tie.
Yeah, if they do, it couldn't hope for a much quicker comeback from 14 down, which they were at the half. Thomas kept his legs driving, but still no signal. And it will be 3rd down.
Crowds get very upset with officials' decisions, but those officials are standing right on this goal line. There's an official standing right there, and he knows whether that ball crossed the plane. And that's what the rule says. The ball must cross the imaginary plane of the end zone. So they did a good job on that call.
Looked like Iowa may have knocked the ball loose if they'd already called his forward progress. That far away. Thomas again. And again, no signal. Waiting to see where they unpile Anthony Thomas. They haven't said touchdown. They haven't said 4th down.
But whatever they say, the Michigan offensive line is getting manhandled. That offensive line's job, as we indicated earlier, is to get their pads down and move the line of scrimmage back into the end zone so that the back has a place to run.
Well, you can't be any closer to the goal line without actually being in.
This is football. Pads down, everybody fighting.
Greasy on the sneak, and that time it works.
Yeah, and that time the big guys up front did something with their feet. That's the first time that the O-line came off like they should, and Coach DeBoer will have them on the boards, literally, on the practice field next week. The Michigan staff will not be excited about that drive from the 2-yard line.
Hasn't been Brian Greasy's day. He has thrown 3 interceptions, but he has been in position for Craig Baker to tie it with the extra point. Which he does, and with 3:11 to go in the 3rd, Iowa, which led 21-7 at the half, has been caught.
The offensive line surges with their shoulder pads, their feet. They create movement so that the quarterback can dive and get across that imaginary line. That caused the touchdown. And on the previous 2 plays, they did not respond in the same fashion.
Bill, there are players and coaches alike who don't put a lot of stock in quarterback sneaks because he has to come from a standing start. Do you have any feeling one way or the other?
I really like the quarterback sneak, except for one factor. The officials find it difficult to mark the spot normally in a quarterback sneak situation. At the goal line, I think it's an excellent play. I would advise Brian Greasy to keep his pads down. When he jumps, those linebackers get a shot at him. They could knock him back. I'd rather see him keep it down right behind those big old rears of those linemen.
Tim Dwight, who got shaken up apparently on the hit by Peterson, back in the middle of the receiving formation for the Hawkeyes. Jay Feely often doesn't get you one to return, but Dwight brings this one from the 3, and he again finds some open room. Tim Dwight in a foot race and knocked out. They will mark him at the 27-yard line, but he's done it again to Michigan. And if not for the close by Dwayne Patman, this one might have gone 97. As it is, it's 72.
Look at the explosiveness of Tim Dwight. This is a man who won 15 titles in track in his high school career in Iowa City. And once he gets an opening, the blocking is superb by everybody up front. You can't single out a particular blocker. But that kickoff return team will get enormous credit if this results in points.
Michigan goes 71 yards in 6 plays, and Tim Dwight brings it back 72, and it's Iowa 1st and 10 from the 26 of the Wolverines. Davian Banks barely saw room to the left. Didn't last long. Clint Copenhaver wraps him up at the 32. So often when he's gotten the ball either on a pitch or a handoff, he's had to immediately change direction from the way the play was designed.
Michigan defense is set up to create situations so that backs are forced to try to bounce, and then they use their great speed to track you down.
He had gone to 100 for the day. That drops him back to 94 on his 15 carry. Sherman, well protected, steps up, and the completion at the 26-yard line for the fullback, Michael Berger. Third catch this year for the former tight end.
For whatever reason, Jim Sherman is shaking. He had plenty of time in the pocket there, and he got what we call nervous feet. He started running and moving and jerking when he didn't need to. He's not the poised quarterback that I've seen him be in the past.
And his numbers reflect that. 3 for 13 for 12 yards. 2 interceptions. Protection good again. But Woodson closed on what he thought was the angle at the 21-yard line. Michigan apparently forcing Iowa to settle for 3, or the attempted 3. It would break the tie, but after the momentum provided by that return by Dwight, maybe a little disappointing.
I'll tell you, Hayden Fry is well known for his little bag of tricks and what he calls exotics. The way this game is going, I wouldn't be surprised to see a fake here if they've got something they think will work.
Well, if they kick it, it's just 38 yards for Zach Brommer. Because they score mostly touchdowns, he hasn't tried that many this year. This one is on the mark, and it does break the tie.
And that faint sound you hear from the corner of the end zone is the 5,000 Iowans. It's amazing how different the 5,000 sound from the 100.
Just a tiny little pocket. But they're making their presence known about as well as they can in this setting. Nothing would boost Peyton Manning's Heisman chances better than an SEC title. And number 9 Tennessee's back in contention thanks to LSU's upset of Florida last week, seen on ESPN. But to remain in the title chase, the Vols have to win a tough one on the road, and that's in Legion Field tonight at 7 Eastern. Let's see what's happening now with Minnesota Penn State with Mike Tirico.
Just a minute ago, in Happy Valley, Curtis Enos runs in this 6-yard touchdown after a controversial and questionable pass interference call against the Gophers. Minnesota still leads, but by 5. Got 9 minutes left in that fourth quarter.
Amazing that one has gone the way it has, but Penn State with plenty of time to turn it around. Michigan turned it around, tied it at 21. White's return allows Iowa to regain the lead with just 35 seconds to go in the period. Michigan crowded up as if they expect exactly what they get, the high blue. Williams knocked off his feet at the 26-yard line by Doug Miller.
Even though he didn't make a long return, that's good coaching. When the coaches at Michigan realized there were going to be fluke kicks, short kicks, they moved everybody up so that their returner would handle the ball rather than their front feet. Smart.
Michigan, with Shaw right and Streets left. Taking over from their 26, Anthony Thomas. Maybe one, wrapped up by Raj Clark, who had to be helped off earlier in the quarter. Aaron Klein there to help out on what might be the last play of the third quarter.
They came right back to the play that Thomas broke for the long run, and this time Iowa was ready.
Well, from 14 down to 3 down, Brian Griese will take that at home. 15 more minutes at Michigan Stadium. Number 15, Iowa, 24-21 over the 5th-ranked Wolverines of Michigan.
Dick is a big football fan, and since Miller Lite is now an official beer sponsor of the NFL, Dick figures, what's football without cheerleaders? Here's Dick's idea.
Come on, give it all that you got. Now's the time to take your best shot. Everybody's gonna rock and roll. We're sending 4 cheerleaders to the Super Bowl. Participate every night. When you find and drink Miller Lite. You could be the cheerleader we're searching for. You could be the cheerleader we're searching for. People from all over, Tampa Bay to Vancouver. You could be the cheerleader we're searching for.
Inside its armrest are storage compartments. The map pockets are thoughtfully divided. Its roomy rear seats have under-seat bins. And the bed converts into a shelf. In Dakota, even the conveniences have conveniences. Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises.
Messaging. Direct Connect, two-way radio for instant contact.
Time's been changed to 3. Call Wilson right away.
Got it.
Right, 3.
And digital cellular for the ultimate in wireless security.
The time's been moved to 3.
On my way.
Nextel lets you accomplish even the most difficult business objectives.
Let's do it.
Get smart. Get Nextel, the national all-digital wireless network.
Fourth quarter in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, and Dave Ryan with a beauty. And everybody in town is interested in this one. That, I suppose, the Michigan version of Tightwad Hill.
A nice warm spot for the goal.
As Michigan has a 2nd and 9. Griese wants to hang this one up for Streets, and it's overthrown in single coverage with quarterback. Griese, Michigan, settling down, would be much more like the team that had stormed to 5 straight wins in that third quarter.
One reason Griese was standing back there alone is that Jared DeVries was double-teamed in pass protection that time. Another smart decision by the coaches of Michigan.
3rd and 9 for an Iowa defense that would like to force another punt to Tim Dwight. They come after Griese, got it off in time for Tillman, but he is immediately buried by Cooks at the 30.
And the strong safety has coverage on the tight end. His job is to either break up the pass or tackle the big guy immediately. Most people don't understand the dynamics and how important that is with a tight end like Tillman, and Kerry Cooks prevented the first down.
So on the 4th and 6, Iowa has dropped back both Collins, the nation's leader, and Dwight. And they try to make a punter guess which way Dwight's going to go. Collins comes up, though. He's the short man as Vincent hangs one high. And Dwight won't take a crack at this one. 41-yarder by Vincent. Hawkeyes take it over, leading by 3.
Judy in the sky.
Nothing wrong with hiding the ears. You know, covering up a few wrinkles. That's why Pearl offers Kodak Progressive lenses. They work just like bifocals, but without the lines. And who needs another line on their face? Plus, right now at Pearl, save 50% off every frame in stock when you buy a complete pair of glasses. What are you waiting for? Put your pearls on.
Jim Harbaugh and Jay Lewinberg for 1-800-COLLECT.
Jim, next time you call me collect, call me 1-800-COLLECT.
Jay, give it a rest.
No, 1-800-COLLECT saves me up to 44%.
Yeah? Are we going to practice or what?
You should have used 1-800-COLLECT!
Think Jim's learned his lesson?
One more play ought to do it. 1-800-COLLECT. Save up to 44%.
If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand.
Peace of mind from Buick LeSabre.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by MCI 5-cent Sundays. Pay the least on the day you call the most. And by Buick. Welcome to Park Avenue. The all-new Park Avenue by Buick. The power of understatement.
Michigan hoping they still have a shot at number 1 when this one's all said and done. They trail by 3. Hawkeyes take it over and look to go to the air. Sherman, for the first time today, has a completion to Tim Dwight. Our latest update now on Penn State, Minnesota from Mike Tirico.
Dave, after the touchdown to make it 15-10, Corey Sauter and the Goats try to get some in the air, but David Macklin comes up with the interception. Penn State now 4th and goal from the 9, lining up for a field goal down 5.
Gophers up as much as 15-3 in that game. Iowa as much as 21-7 in this one. White went in motion, and Banks says hello to Glenn Steele. Let's go down to Dave Ryan.
Dave, the Michigan defensive coaches told us they'd love to have the Iowa Hawkeyes have only 40 plays from scrimmage heading into the 4th quarter. Well, it turns out it was just 38. They say 60 for the game is ideal. The Wolverines have averaged facing 63 this year, but they say they can face as many as 80 to 85 a game. They feel they're in great shape for 4th quarter action.
Usually pretty rested when they get to the 4th. Sherman trying to be heard over the 106,000 plus. They took up the blitz, and he is out of bounds on the catch by Gibson. Damon Gibson one-on-one with William Peterson, who has been terrific today.
And William Peterson is a true freshman in whom the Michigan coaches have enormous confidence.
Jason Baker hasn't been bad either, speaking of true freshmen. And another excellent kick to Charles Woodson. Heads to the sideline, and Michigan sets up at the 39-yard line. 17 on the return of a 45-yard Baker punt. Michigan coming from behind in the 3rd quarter. Shaw gets away with a push-off. That's 21-14. 58-yard burst by Anthony Thomas. The longest run from scrimmage by any Wolverine this year. And that sets up on 4th and goal from the 1-foot line. The sneak by Greasy. Ensuing kickoff. This one from the 3, and he again finds an open room. 72 yards later, Tim Whitehead set Iowa up for the go-ahead field goal. He's touched the ball, Bill, only 7 times today, but Dwight is directly responsible for 10 of the 24 Iowa points.
He has to be the most exciting player in America for number of yards per touch.
Greasy coming on the bootleg, and there's DeVries. Big day for Jared, the junior from Applington, Iowa, the Lombardi candidate. Has a sack today, his 29th of his career. He's now within 4 of the record. He already has the record for most yards and tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Broke Andre Pippett's mark in that category at Iowa.
He got that one because of excellent coverage by Kerry Cooks. People ask, well, why did the quarterback just keep the ball like that? Well, he didn't have any place to throw it.
Loss of 4, 2nd and 14. Williams. Clarence Williams breaks one off to midfield where he's knocked out by Big Ten. That's 15 for Clarence. This is such a balanced offensive system for Michigan, but there are chances to shine, and in the second half, it's been Williams and Thomas taking advantage.
Now, this is a 15-yard gain, but you'll see why great free safeties are so crucial to a defensive football team. Eric Thigpen comes across here. Nice tackle, head across the bow, knocks him out of bounds, so it's 15 yards rather than 65.
Greasy off the play fake, and there's DeVries again. He is just wearing out Chris Zeman.
He's wearing out John Jansen, the offensive captain, and that time he had a chance to work on Zeman, and he wore him out too.
Huge day. Some of the highlights for Jared DeVries.
Right side.
But they go draw play for Howard, and it's not. Pass batted down, sack, couple of stops behind the line, another sack. Got to account for him. And that time, Zeman takes him to the ground. As it's intended for Streets, he got locked up in a battle with Gibson, and Streets comes away with it. But there are flags near the line of scrimmage. Might have a face mask back there. Gibson had a shot, a pretty good shot, it appeared, of picking off his second interception of the day. Streets outfought him. Now let's see if it stands.
We've talked about Streets and his ability to be a big play guy. He made a big play there, although it could be negated by this flag, and yes, it is. And it looks like DeVries has caused yet another negative situation for Michigan.
On the offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, still second down.
DeVries has such enormous talent and great quickness. Zeman decides just to grab him by the throat and jerk him on the ground, but you're just not allowed to do that unless it's Saturday night wrestling.
Which that resembles.
Yeah, I think it is.
So, the 7th Michigan penalty has a 2nd and 31, and they go draw play to Anthony Thomas. Mike Tirico, what's up now?
Well, I told you Penn State was lining up for the field goal. After a timeout, Joe Paterno says, let's go for the end zone. It's McQuarrie looking for Brad Scioli. There is contact, but no flag. Minnesota by 5 inside of 5.
We will continue to track that one, obviously. This was not bad either. Woodson in the game. They send him wide left alongside Marcus Knight. Williams also in the Trips left side. Streets is right. On 3rd and 30. Greasy having the roll. Fire one up. And out of bounds, intended for Streets.
And I just have to comment on this performance by Jared DeVries. He beat his man so quickly, Chris Zeman. He used a beautiful spin move, and he was in Greasy's face immediately, not allowing the pattern to develop.
Every bit the player he has been billed to be. They've narrowed that Lombardi list down to 12 semifinalists.
Well, if they watch this one, he'll win it.
Yeah, he's definitely thinking about that next cut as well. He went after the punt by Vincent, almost got it. Here comes White. Only manages the 38, 10-yard return. 9:28 to go in Ann Arbor. Iowa still leading by 3.
I really don't believe this. Our first vacation in years, and I forget the most important thing of all.
Kelly Springfield tires are designed for toughness.
Man, oh man, oh man. I can just pick myself up.
And they're designed for durability. But most importantly, Kelly Springfield tires are designed to go a long way.
Honey, it's all right. How far could the next gas station be?
Kelly Springfield. Get every mile you can out of life.
The brake on?
Hey, when it comes to the weekend, we figure it's time for kicking back. Yeah, right.
Now there's a car that helps your supercharged family take leisure to a new extreme. The new supercharged Regal GS. Besides having more standard safety features than any car in its class, Regal also has room for 5 very supercharged people and all their supercharged toys. The new Regal GS by Buick. Official car of the supercharged family.
Hey, Joey, light up the court.
And hit the radio.
Every day, car batteries are put to the test. And every day, America's most trusted lives up to its name. Die Hard. Tried and true.
Hawkeyes take over, good field position there, 38-yard line, almost 9.5 minutes to go, but they have not moved the ball in the second half. They got the field goal only thanks to the kick return by Dwight. Pitch it out to Banks. And Fabian, driven near the sideline to pick up 5 or 6. Hanny Jones finished him off. Mike Tirico, our latest update.
Thomas Hamner, the running back from Minnesota State, has had a big day, over 125 yards, but on 3rd and 3, he lost the ball. Penn State recovers. On the very next snap, they go right to the horse. Curtis Enos, 10-yard touchdown run. They go for 2 and miss. Number 1 leads by 1 with 4 minutes left.
Also, they caught him, they passed it. What does that feel like for Glenn Mason?
Well, for Glenn Mason, it feels like we better get a field goal here before this thing is over. You don't allow yourself to become discouraged, or your team will smell it.
Another tackle by Jones on the Banks sweep. A reminder, Michigan in Game 6 still unscored on in the 4th quarter this year.
And this is what you call, Dave, one of your basic big downs. Yep.
Vance Bedford is the secondary coach for this Michigan group of DBs, which has been superb today. Banks tripped up. He's going to be 2 yards shy of the first. They did not, at any point, Bill, look to the pass on that possession. 5 of 16 for 25 yards, all they've been allowed through the air, so you can understand why they didn't pick pass.
Well, they just had such a tough time getting open. And Sherman has been rattled, frankly. He's been back there with his feet moving and dancing around rather than setting them and stepping up and making throws like he normally does.
Big day for the freshman from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Tries to keep this one away from Woodson, does so, but it's a Michigan hop. And then at the 23-yard line. Only a 31-yard Baker punt this time. Michigan will take it from their 23. ESPN2 has a college football doubleheader on tap tonight featuring tough road tests for a pair of top 25 teams. It begins with the Battle of North Carolina. Number 4 Tar Heels at NC State. That's at 6 Eastern. And then number 21 Georgia will take on Vanderbilt on the road in Nashville. Both of those tonight on the Deuce. Williams, chased by Cooks, missed the ankle tackle, and finally Clark angled him out of bounds. At that Michigan tailback spot this half, it's been pretty much Williams and Thomas doing it alone. I don't know if Chris Howard's carried the ball once this half. Let's check in with Dave Ryan.
Well, Dave, to answer your question, Chris Howard did not come back from the halftime locker room. Suffered bruised ribs in the first half. Not available to the Wolverines here in half number 2 today.
All right, very, very timely update. We figured there had to be a reason. Short drop. Greasy with a pump fake and buried at the 17. Aaron Klein was there alongside Jeff Kramer.
Probably a good decision here by Brian Greasy, who's ready to throw, pulls it down when he sees the defender in position for the interception and takes the loss, and a sizable one, rather than another terrible interception. I guess there's no interception, Dave. It isn't terrible.
No good ones. Iowa defense hasn't been quite as smothering as Michigan through the air, but Greasy just 12 of 24, 128 yards, 3 picks. His worst day of the year by far. This will be interference on Ples Atkins, who climbed the back fairly obviously of Ty Streets.
Ples is the best cover guy that Iowa has, and he's in good shape here if he simply times his break a little bit better. The rule says if you make contact with the receiver prior to the ball arriving, then you're guilty of interference. Ples is there just a step early. Comes over the top to bat the ball down, but he has contact with the receiver and a good call.
What a killer on 3rd and 16.
The fact that it's an automatic first down is by far the most significant aspect of the play.
Yeah, make a note of that one. He'll issue Ples his ticket as soon as he heads over that bench. Michigan drive still alive. Anthony Thomas may squeeze out 2.
Starting to sound like a broken record. Jared DeVries was in the backfield, tripped him up. He has been dominant today. When you study a football team and they have a dominating defensive lineman, you have to re-scheme virtually everything. I don't think Michigan expected this from Jared DeVries, and he has taken this game over.
The bigger the game, the more he likes it. He has been the defensive MVP of last year's Alamo Bowl and the most valuable lineman of the Sun Bowl from 2 years ago. Thomas wrapped up by Steve English, the backup nose guard. And Michigan faced with another 3rd down. They'll need 5 here as we near the 5-minute mark. And they can't figure on getting too many more offensive opportunities.
This is probably the biggest play of the game thus far. Michigan almost certainly must keep this drive alive to keep their hopes alive.
Iowa ready to come with the blitz. Might have gotten off too quickly. Tillman missed the catch at the 45. Good for 20 yards as we wait for the flag.
But this is a very big call by the officials. So much of it depends on who moves and when. Defense offsides is the call. It's very important for the defense to show poise, not be distracted by the snap count. Greasy does a good job here, and then a great throw and catch. You see the mismatch once again. Tooman on Raj Clark. It's tough to ask a linebacker that weighs 245 pounds to run with a tight end that moves like Jeremy Tooman. Big play.
John LaFleur, the man that moved for Iowa. Greasy finally with some time, and another catch by Jeremy Tooman. 20 more 15 more yards out at the 30.
Exactly the same play. Sometimes offensive coordinators are criticized for repeating plays. More often, they should be criticized if they don't repeat good plays. In this case, Mike DeBoer comes up with a nice call going back to the well for the second time, and another good throw and catch.
A Michigan drive, which is still alive because of a pass interference on a third down against Ples Atkins. There's DeBoer. Ready to pull out every stop. With only 5 minutes left and still down. Thomas breaking through the middle for 8 or 9.
One back in the backfield. Backs, receivers, tight ends spread all over the field. The natural anticipation of the defense would be to expect a throw, and instead they hand it off to Thomas, who follows the excellent blocking up front by his center, Zach Adamy. Boom! Good movement. Good movement on Klein, and the big guy's loose. Even though Klein spins off, he rips through the tackle.
This may be the day that Thomas can no longer be seen as a freshman. Same thing, and he's to the 15, another Michigan first down.
Little fisticuffs occurring after the play. Flags all over the field, and again, depends on who hit first and who hit last. Normally, the player who hit last is the one that's called. Zach Adamy, the center, is involved.
Third penalty on this Michigan drive against Iowa.
One of the critical aspects of winning a football game.
Personal foul, dead ball, personal foul on the defense. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
You simply must keep your poise. Raj Clark is the man who commits the penalty, and it's a big one against his team. He's pulled from the game as a result.
Anthony Thomas, left tackle, tried to cut it back at the 5-yard line. He ran into LaFleur. Mike Tirico's latest update.
And last one on Penn State, it's over. Minnesota, 4th and 16. They couldn't pick up the first down. Penn State took the ball back, picked up the one first down they needed, then took a knee. Penn State, a 5-touchdown favorite, wins by 1. Will they be number 1 still? A lot to talk about later today and tonight.
Boy, I guess what a question to be pondered in Lincoln, where Nebraska has Texas Tech today. Meanwhile, 2nd and goal for the Wolverines from the Iowa 5, under 3.5 minutes. Anthony Thomas to the 2, where it's 3rd and goal.
Big Anthony's on track now. He's enjoying this and flying up in there, not really reading quite as well as he has on previous plays.
This is Jeff Kramer, the injured Hawkeye, the junior out of Weatherford, Texas, who transferred from Notre Dame. Looked at first as if he was grabbing the left knee, and Hayden Fry himself is going to go out and check on Jeff. So we've got timeout with 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go at Michigan Stadium. Iowa clinging to a 3-point lead.
Y'all ready for this?
It continues. Heritage Nissan is having a massive 97 inventory reduction sale. All new 97s in stock will be sold regardless, with a $2,000 rebate on all trucks, Sentras, and 200 SXs. Hurry while the selection is good. If you haven't seen it yet, come see how really big the 98 Altima really is. We're Heritage Nissan, 1321 Martha Berry Boulevard. The only name you'll ever need on your car, Heritage.
Y'all ready for this?
Tired of renting or living in a mobile home? Are you ready to own a new home, quality built on your land? Then come visit us at America's Home Place. We've been building affordable new homes for people just like you for over 25 years. We offer a wide selection of different style homes and floor plans. We offer in-house financing and no down payment to qualified landowners. Get started now while interest rates are at their lowest point in years. Call America's Home Place in Cartersville at 387-2900 and receive our free 37-page color brochure. If you have a little land and a big dream, let's build together.
You know,
all those stories you hear about how good it was and how much fun we had and how young we all used to be, about how much it all mattered and how much we all cared and how no one has ever done it higher or faster or harder or better. All those stories you hear, they're all true.
Coming up next here on ESPN, golf's Nike Tour Championship from Opelika, Alabama, richest event of the year on the Nike Tour. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, and Dave Ryan, 3:10 to go in Michigan Stadium. Iowa up 21-7 at the half, up 24-21 at the moment, as Michigan looks at 3rd and goal from the 2. Play fake, Greasy on the roll, pulls up, there's Jeremy Tillman, and Michigan leads. Extra point try for Craig Baker. Of course, Iowa to think touchdown only, and he's got it, and it's 28-24. 2:55 remaining for a possible Iowa comeback. John Jansen is shaken up for Michigan.
This is a brilliant play call. Coaches like me and others love to talk about gut checks and bending your knees and knocking people back at the goal line. But you also better be able to do things like this. A little deception, 3 tight ends in the game. Excellent poise by the quarterback, Brian Greasy. Jeremy Tillman coming up with a big play, as he has so often for this Michigan team. Now John Jansen, their offensive leader, down. They've already lost their defensive captain, Eric Mays. It appeared that Jeff Kramer was not badly hurt. We have to hope the same is true of John. Jeff Kramer, the outside linebacker for Iowa.
So this goes 11 plays, 77 yards, capped off by Greasy to Tillman.
And as you mentioned earlier, Dave, the 2 big penalties were crucial in that situation. Looks like Big John's going to be all right. Everybody here is happy about that, especially Mrs. Jansen, his mom, somewhere.
Mike Tirico, what do you have?
This is turning into an unbelievable Saturday, Dave. How about Ole Miss going into Baton Rouge, where #1 Florida lost last week? And Stuart Patridge has a career-high 336 passing yards, 60 on this touchdown to Grant Hurd. Ole Miss has the ball and lead by 12.
Wow. Fallout from LSU over Florida last week. Penn State almost loses. The week they get back to #1, and LSU may well lose. Tim Dwight in the middle of the 3-deep pattern by Iowa, waiting for Jay Feely's kick. And he will keep it away from Mr. Dwight. Raymond Gibson. Raymond Gibson had his knee touch turf at the 27.
And this playing surface has been a major factor in this football game, with some critical slips by both teams. Physical slips, that is.
This crowd was 2 things at the half, silent and sullen, and they've gotten over it. And when Michigan came out to start the second half, they gave them maybe the loudest ovation of the year, and the players have responded with a 21-3 second half so far. Derrick Rose never snapped it. Everybody else was ready. In the first half, he snapped it when no one was ready, and that caused an Iowa turnover.
The quarterback forgot the snap count there. And this is what happens. Even with a veteran quarterback, he has so much to think about.
Ball start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
He has so much to think about. He calls the correct audible and then forgets the snap count and pulls out, causing the penalty. Not a good way to start the drive.
Banks went motion out of the backfield. Now comes back and incomplete. They tried to get him over the middle for the little screen, and he couldn't hang on. 2nd and 15. Both teams with all their timeouts.
Football today is so driven by the performance of the quarterback because of the load that's on him, the cerebral and the physical and the tactical load that quarterbacks have to bear. Sometimes some of the little things slip away at the toughest times. It happens to everybody.
Marcus Ray creeping up. Here he comes. Safety blitz picked up by Banks. Wide open. Fritz Knipper. And the tight end is up to the 31 to make it for Iowa 3rd and about 6.
And Matt Sherman showing his maturity here. Number 12, by calmly standing in the pocket after all that's happened, hitting the big tight end, giving him a chance to get this first down. Now at 3rd and 5 rather than 3rd and 15.
Only the 5th completion of the day for Matt Sherman. 1 of 11 on 3rd down for Iowa. Remember, we're talking about the number 2 total offense in the country. Sherman chased and dropped at the 28 by Rod Renis.
Glenn Steele is down, but he's the guy that broke the pocket. He beat Chad Deal to the inside, forced Sherman out of the pocket, and now he goes down. Impossible to tell from here what the injury might be.
Coverage sack here all the way. Sherman looked up, looked left, right, middle, and saw nobody open.
He also saw Steele bearing down on him immediately.
So as they check on Glenn Steele, 1:41 to go in Ann Arbor.
No, I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me.
Buick LeSabre is built to keep you safe and secure. A comforting thought, especially for those who aren't even in the car.
Stand by me.
Looking for the answer to one of life's toughest questions?
Wrap it up. I'll take it.
Drive into Sonic for dinner. We make everything fresh to order, then serve it up hot, fast, and ready to go.
Like our chicken strip dinner with fries, Texas toast, and gravy. Our new country fried steak fingers dinner. And our new golden fried shrimp dinner.
Complete dinners, ready to go.
Wrap it up. I'll take it.
Time can be stopped. Timex Ironman Triathlon watches. Keep going.
Iowa's used its first timeout as they discuss a 4th down and 9. 1:41 to go. And if you're ever going to say your prayers, now is the time if you're a Hawkeye.
Well, there's a great story about saying prayers in athletic competition. The fellow goes with his priest to watch a boxing match. One of the guys crosses himself, says a prayer. The parishioner says, "Father, will that help him?" He says, "Yeah, if he's a good boxer." So prayers might help if you're a real good football team on 4th and 9.
Won't hurt. White comes left, Gibson right. Ian Gold through the middle. They pick him up on his blitz. Sherman finds Gibson. And Gibson in the open field, dragged down at midfield by Charles Woodson, but Iowa is still alive on a 22-yard Sherman to Gibson connection.
That is a phenomenal play by Matt Sherman, who's had a rough day. Now twice he's kept his team alive with superb poise and accuracy. What a great play by the quarterback.
Just across midfield. Banks goes in motion. Sherman keeps his balance somehow. And out of bounds at the 48, a pickup of 2. Woodson left his feet as if he expected a Sherman pass. If that's what had happened, it would have been an illegal pass beyond the line of scrimmage. And that took Woodson out of any chance to bring Sherman down himself. But it stops the clock. It serves another purpose. Saves him a timeout with 1:06. 106,000 plus for Michigan, the 140th straight crowd of at least 100,000 in the big house. Jim Herman's defense under fire all day.
This is what you pay to see.
Coming again with a blitz, and they got him. Clint Copenhaver.
Sherman called timeout here. He had enough presence of mind to do that. He just got blindsided by Copenhaver on a 4-man blitz that he should have seen coming.
So the Michigan thinking, if you blitz enough, sooner or later, one of them's going to hit. And Copenhaver gets the hit.
Dr. Eugene Sands is a new employer.
You gonna hurt me? Are you asking because you're afraid? I'm just trying to plan my day.
But he's running out of patience.
He's dead. Excellent. I'll see what I can do.
David Duchovny, playing God. Rated R. Now playing.
More people who make a living with their tools buy their tools at the Home Depot. And with our incredible selection, all at guaranteed low prices, it's a pretty powerful argument for why you should shop here too. The Home Depot, where people who know their stuff buy their stuff.
This is Madden 98 talking Smart D. Who do you love, Coach?
The guys who can sniff out a quarterback.
Yeah, zoning, dropping, snorting out the scent of fear.
The greats have good smellers on them. And boom, they act like a unit.
Liquid D, baby.
You have the sniffer, you have the smeller, then you go get what you just smelled, and this way you have that smeller for
You can run, but the who's will find you. 1-888-MY-HOUSE. Sucking drains with spray. Madden NFL 98, the ultimate show. EA Sports. It's in the game.
For Iowa, 3rd and 17. They have missed on their last 6 third down tries. On this one, they need to get just across the Michigan 40-yard line. They're down to their last timeout. They have 58 seconds remaining, and they cannot think field goal. Sherman steps up again. There's an open man. Up the right side for another big chunk goes Banks, who has done most of his damage on the ground today. This time, he bites off 29 yards worth.
And another mismatch. Remember, coaches work to develop these. A mismatch of Tavian Banks on Ian Gold, a linebacker. Gold is fast. Banks is faster.
Clock rolling. Don't forget, as soon as we're complete here, the Nike Tour Championship from Alabama. Sherman from the 26. Pressure from Steele. Steps up, and it's intercepted by Sam Sword. Called Sam Sword's name before his first interception of the year right here.
Sam has taken over the leadership in the absence of Eric Mays, and Matt Sherman did one of those inexplicable things. He'll not be able to explain this to himself or to anybody else. He threw it right to the wrong color shirt.
our Kelly Springfield players of the game today. For Jared DeVries, pure brilliance. 10 tackles, 3 sacks, and for Michigan, Jeremy Tillman with a career-high 7 catches, 85 yards, and, as it's going to turn out, the winning touchdown for Michigan. Kelly Springfield is proud to donate $1,000 to each school's General Scholarship Fund on behalf of these athletes. Final timeout used by Iowa with 25 seconds to go, and then we'll have the Nike Tour Championship. Michigan down 21-7 at the half. They come back, and it is sealed by Sam Sword's interception. The junior from Saginaw, Michigan, will make it 6-0 for Michigan.
For people who've never been in a game like this, the guy that summed it up best was Vince Lombardi. He used to tell us regularly, when you win one like this, all the joy, all the happiness, all the laughter goes to the victor. And to the loser, all he gets is the determination to come back again. And that's how it feels. There's nothing quite like it in the world. Look at these youngsters that have worked so hard to get to this place. And Iowa will come back and have their day.
So the Wolverines have done their part to set up the unbeaten showdown next week in East Lansing with Michigan State, which has Northwestern this afternoon. Michigan wins it, storming from behind 28-24. Michigan State here on ESPN, 12:30 Eastern next Saturday. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Bill Curry and Dave Ryan, Dave Bryant.